Well, the football season is finally here, Canes fans. It's we've been waiting 8 months, gone through 41 new player acquisitions that have kept our CaneSport team working pretty darn hard through this off-season period. Well, it's finally time to find out whether 2024 can be the breakthrough year that Mario Cristobal has been waiting for. And a lot of hype for this game on Saturday. We've seen it all. 3:30 p.m. at the Swamp. A Florida team absolutely desperate to reverse the dire path that it's been on. 5 straight losses to end last season. A head coach in Billy Napier that is number 1 on anybody's list of coaches that are on the hot seat entering this 2024 football season. For the sake of drama, a lot of pundits out there are trying to put Mario Cristobal in the same category. There was a sports book out in Las Vegas that set odds for coaches to get fired during the course of the season. They made Mario Cristobal plus 600 on the list, which was the third most likely coach to get fired. Obviously, they are not in tune to what is going on in Coral Gables, where Mario Cristobal absolutely has the complete, unquestioned backing of the Miami administration. And I would like to think the fan base, and we're going to find out some of that tonight here on this show, as he enters year 3 of this reclamation project that has certainly been bigger than a lot of people thought. You know, I certainly knew how bad it was. I thought I knew how bad it was, and was pretty vocal about it, leading up to this time. And it ended up being worse than, anybody could have imagined, to be honest with you. I mean, when you look at the roster upheaval, the way that they've had to put this roster together that's coming into the season, it's never the blueprint to turn over 41 spots in a football program. I mean, that's insane. I've been doing this a very long time. I don't think I've ever seen anything like what we have witnessed here over these past few months when they've been doing this level of recruiting. So after all the work that's been put in, Mario's 18-hour work days, the recruiting grind, he needs some validation on Saturday at the Swamp. I mean, he's not on any hot seat, but he does need validation to the college football world out there that is looking to see what it can expect from Mario Cristobal, what it can expect from this supposedly improved Miami Hurricanes football team as it just tries to regain relevance in the college football landscape. And a solid performance on Saturday will certainly jumpstart what a lot of people are hoping would be an ACC championship season and a berth in the college football playoff. That is the unquestioned goal. I think anything less than that would not be considered success this season with the quality of talent that they've been able to put together. And we'll talk a little bit about that talent tonight. I mean, I'm still not sure that there's a lot of elite, but there certainly is a lot more depth than we have seen in many, many years. People ask me, when was the last time you saw a Miami team with a roster at this level? And I'd have to do a hell of a lot of research, man. It has not been in recent times. I'll tell you that. I mean, it would take a little bit of work to put an actual year on it. But I've been very impressed with the way this roster has come together. Now they just have to perform. And tonight, as we begin a new season of CaneSport Live with this new format online on YouTube, we're on our YouTube channel, we're on our Twitter channel, we're on our Instagram channel, and we're bringing the fans on this year. Most of them are going to be on webcam. A couple of them might throw an avatar up there. Maybe they're in their pajamas or something, get ready for bed, and they don't want to show themselves on camera. You never know. I could tell you that our old favorite Greg was very intimidated by this, and he doesn't feel like he's technologically savvy, so he may or may not appear tonight. We'll see what happens. We're used to him being the first caller on the show for so many, many years. but he's a little bit of a fish out of water with this online video technology. But we expect this to be a lot of fun. You guys are going to get to know some of your fellow fans that you've heard from for so many years that will be part of the show. And instead of just listening to them over a phone line, you're going to get to see them on camera. Guys like Kane Kane and James the Italian Stallion is going to be on the show tonight, I think. And a bunch of other guys. The Mikester Kane, I think, is going to be making a reappearance. We might make him come on with his band at some point in this season, but we'll discuss that in a little bit. But I'm Gary Furman. I'm the publisher of CaneSport.com, and I want to officially welcome everybody watching right now to this new season of CaneSport Live, presented tonight by KaneWear, your number one destination for hurricane gear. There's been a lot of upheaval in that space. I won't mention the names of other entities that are out there selling merchandise. KaneWear has stood tough. They've got their new big store on University Drive in Davie, and we're partnering with them again this year. They're going to sponsor the Lamar Thomas show. That'll be on Wednesday nights as well, among some other things. And I can tell you, KaneWear is, might be the top destination right now for Kane's merchandise. If you can't physically go to their store in Davie, you could shop them online at CaneSport.com, and you'll see they got a pretty darn deep selection of hurricane gear. They got all the top Adidas stuff going into the season. They've got the KaneWear jerseys. So I highly recommend everybody to take a look at CaneSport.com or make your way over to their store in Davie before your trip to Gainesville this weekend, for those of you that are traveling. And if not, you're going to be sitting at home watching the game. You still can wear your current new Canes gear. This remains, we got a new format, but this remains your show, and it's going to be driven by your participation. We want to get as many fans as possible on the show over the course of the next couple hours here, and just get a lot of opinions on what you're expecting out of this 2024 season. What is reality for the fan base? And in the second hour, we'll be joined by the voice of the fan, Bruce Warner. He'll give us his input from the fan standpoint as well. In a moment, I'm going to bring in Matt Shodell, our managing editor. He will be a mainstay on this show, usually in hour number one. He's got a big fan club out there in YouTube universe and Twitter universe, and from our Good Morning CaneSport show. So it was only logical that we would make him part of this newly formatted CaneSport Live show that we begin here tonight. We're also expecting a visit tonight from Maurice Crum, the former Canes linebacker. And the reason we picked Maurice for this show is we wanted to get somebody that had actually played against the Florida Gators. And, you have to go way back. 1987 right, it was the last year that this was an annual event, playing Florida. And what had happened, quite honestly, is Miami got really, really good, became a national championship level team. And Florida didn't like that very much, and they were losing a lot of games to Miami. And a couple teams, I think it was Arkansas and South Carolina, came into the SEC, and they used that as an excuse to get out of the Miami series. And Steve Spurrier, I saw an interview with Steve Spurrier this week, and he flat admitted it. Like, he didn't sugarcoat the fact that they basically used that as an excuse to get out of the Miami game. Because the minute those two teams entered the SEC, their athletic director at the time came and said, hey, maybe we shouldn't play Miami anymore. And, after losing and seeing Miami's rise in college football, the response was, yeah, maybe we shouldn't play Miami anymore. So the Chicken Gators took this game away from us. And it's significant because this is a special, you old school fans understand how special this is Saturday, going up to the Swamp to play this game. I mean, it's going to be electric up there. It is. They only gave Miami 4,000 tickets. So most Canes fans, I'm sure a lot of people watching tonight are included in that, have had to go to the secondary market to get their tickets. But the Canes section is literally just going to be 4,000 seats. It's going to be a little sliver in there at the Swamp. And then the other Miami fans that attend the game will be spaced out around the stadium. But, this is a really special weekend for the Hurricanes. They'll get to do it again next year. And I asked Dan Radakovich, the athletic director, this week, have you started working on trying to get Florida to play any more of these series? And he has not to this point, but it is a conversation that he intends to have in Gainesville this weekend. Miami will play Florida anytime, any place, any season. So if you have any Gator fan friends out there that try to talk nonsense to you, make that very clear that it's the Gators that will not schedule this every single year. And with that, I'm going to bring on Matt Shodell, another fish out of water, who's used to me making him wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to do our Good Morning Kane show, Good Morning CaneSport show. And now I'm making him stay up because he usually goes to bed at 6 o'clock. And I'm making him stay up on Tuesday nights to come do this CaneSport live show. Matt, welcome to the wild side. I'm going to warn you in advance. It does get a little animated on this show at times. We have a fan guest by the name of Kane Kane that will literally come and start screaming at us when he comes on the show. When we bring him on, you just don't say a word. Okay, you just let him do his thing. He knows what he's going to say. He will have it reversed. I'm sure he has notes. Now he's got notes ready to go. There's no way that he possibly could go through his whole diatribe without notes. But I think you'll enjoy being part of the show. And before we go to some of our fans, your general mindset here as we sit about 4 days before kickoff.
Yeah, I don't know who your speechwriter was for your opening monologue there, but you covered a lot of bases. Am I supposed to be happy because, it's an evening show and not a morning show? Like, do I have to be like all positive and happy? Like, no, that's, people that know me know that I'm just gonna bring the show down. Why you want me on the show? I guess it's make you look better and make you look like the optimist, and I'm like the little loser guy who's always complaining. But with that said, for those of you that don't know me, I'm a miserable loser, so thanks for having me on the show. No, but in terms of what I believe for this season, and I've spouted on Good Morning CaneSport many times that I've had a lot of issues with the way things were built initially by Mario Cristobal, which fans disagreed with. Whether they're right or wrong, they're wrong. But the way he handled the transfer portal the first couple of cycles, using up spots on an 85 roster limit when he's so great at recruiting, I had a big issue with that. So I predicted not great results his first 2 years. I did predict 7 wins for last year, which was correct. I'm usually on the low end for the wins. So with that in mind, I predicted 10 wins for this season, and I do believe they should have 10 wins. I think 8 to 12 is realistic, which is why I put it at 10. It's probably the easiest schedule I can remember. And I've covered the team since Butch was here, and I was at the Rose Bowl in 2001, and I know what it should look like because we used to go to all those practices, right, back in the day when they're beating the heck out of each other and scrapping and fighting for every rep. It doesn't look like that yet, okay? It doesn't. Like, that's just the truth. But the schedule's, like I said, super easy. Florida State isn't the same Florida State as last year or even probably the year before, and I've said that on the Good Morning show. Oh yeah, great. And the reason is they had half their starters from the portal last year. They had 11 starters, if I remember correctly, were portal additions last season. 10 guys went to the NFL. They were replacing everybody in the portal. People remember Michigan State, right? Michigan State had that great year where everyone's like, okay, the portal works, right? And then Michigan State the following year was awful. This is what happens when you rely on the portal. And that's my only, I'm going to be negative now because that's what I do. That's my only concern. I think this year will be great, but I'm a guy who looks ahead, right? Because this is not a national championship team this year. Like, I'm sorry to tell you guys that. That's my opinion. I think it can win the ACC title because I don't think the ACC is particularly good. I think Clemson hasn't been the same Clemson for the last couple of years. Florida State's down. Who is so great? Louisville, Virginia Tech, NC State? Like, come on. There's no reason Miami shouldn't be in the ACC title game, maybe make the playoffs, but are they a Georgia roster? Are they an Alabama roster? Are they a Texas roster? Are they an Ohio State roster? Even a Michigan roster? I don't see it because I know what it looks like. They're not quite there, okay? They have a really, really good offense, maybe even a borderline championship level offense. The defensive line is close if they get their stuff together. There's so many new pieces there, it's hard to tell for sure. Limited linebacker depth, and I think the secondary is going to have some issues. So with all that in mind, I'm taking the big picture view and I'm looking to the future. And when you have, and I edited it up incorrectly yesterday on the morning show, it's 10 new starters this year on the team. That's a lot. Last year, FSU had 11. This year, Miami has 10. There's no reason Miami can't sort of have the same success FSU did to some extent, right? If everything comes together the right way. But then how do you propagate that, right? And I want this to become a program with Mario Cristobal where it's being built through recruiting. And then there's just a few guys, a few free agents. I call them free agents for those of you that don't watch the morning show. A free agent is not a transfer. A free agent is a guy you pay a ton of money to come to your program and be the best in the conference or one of the top in the conference at that position, right? And Miami finally got it right this year in the portal, got a lot of those guys, right? Damian Martinez, Cam Ward, you can go on and on, some of the defensive linemen, et cetera. But now you look, okay, 10 new starters, the bulk of them are transfers, one-year guys who are here and gone, including Damian Martinez, who said he wants to leave after this year, even though he has a year left. So now next year, right, how do you build on that? Because what happens this year, and again, this is my negativity, I'm sorry, people, the people who Mario's recruited are sitting behind these transfers, right? They're not getting experience. They're not playing a significant amount of reps to the point where they can progress through reps, right? Eventually, you need game reps to really make the next jump. There's only so much you can accomplish in practices showing guys. Until they get in the field, in the fire, it's different. It just is. People who play football will tell you that, okay? At a high level. Not flag football in your backyard with your family, okay? That's different. So now next year, you got to replace 10, 11 transfers, plus some other guys who will leave, maybe Jalen Rivers, guys who weren't transfers this year. You're rebuilding the team next year. And then if Mario keeps taking another 10 transfers next year to try and be good again right away, it just is a self-propagating issue where it's going to be hit or miss every year, like Florida State's learned, like Michigan State's learned. Like I think everybody will eventually learn because the transfer portal is still new. NAL is still new. I personally don't think you can live and die by the transfer portal every single year, especially when your head coach is such a great recruiter. I want to see the recruits play. I want to see the recruits develop. I want to see this to be a recruit-based team where Mario's recruits are 18 starters, 17 starters, 16 starters, not 4 starters and 5 starters out of the whole team, okay? That's my vision for the future. With that said, I think they'll be extremely successful this year. Beyond this year is a question mark, but, fans probably only care about this year, so I'm done. That's my soliloquy. Can I leave now? I'm done. I'll wake up at 5 a.m. I'm ready to go. I finished.
I'll just say that you have 41 new players on this team this year. So, I think that proves that you can do anything year to year. I happen to agree with you. The blueprint is definitely to do the bulk of it through high school recruiting, but I don't even think we can think about next year yet. We got too many fish to fry here this year. Okay. Now the way this is going to work, we're going to start bringing our fans on. Those of you that are watching, you can ask questions in the chat as well. We will be working those in as the show goes forward. And if you want to come on the show, we have a full queue right now. But as slots open up, if you email us at CaneSport@yahoo.com, we will send you the link to the studio and get you in line to come on the show. All right. So one of the beauties of this technology is I can see everybody that's in the lobby. Okay. So there's one guy, and I'm not surprised by this at all. He is jumping up and down. He's antsy. He's rubbing his hands together, walking around in circles. This is a guy that for 8 months has been chomping at the bit for this show to start on Tuesday nights so that he can preach his gospel to the Canes Nation. So I'm going to start with him. He looks like he's ready. Kane Kane.
Oh, man. What's happening? Hey, man, you finally smiled, buddy. You's a hard dude to make smile when you're on that morning show.
How could I not smile when you look like so happy?
Hey, you got to be happy for something, right? It's been 23 plus years. I'm about the same age as y'all. We've been in the same rut forever. I agree with what you're saying, but Mario does recruit good, right? Correct?
Yeah. So listen, I'm actually just happy that I'm not only having to talk to Gary. That's the truth. That's nothing to do with you. It could have been anybody. It just happens to be you.
Hey, well, I always wanted to hear you anyway, but it's nice meeting you. We're going to be okay. I ain't got a lot to say, Gary, because it's the beginning. No, forget that. Can we win the game? I believe we can now. I've never been to the swamp. Y'all been there. How bad is it? How bad is the crowd? Is it worse than the FSU crowd? I've been there a couple times.
It depends how they're playing. if Miami comes and takes care of business early in the game, it won't be bad at all.
Well, I agree with that 100%. I know it's a lot of people out there. You know, a lot of people going to be slow to this technology, Gary. Hey, be there. I'm a season ticket holder. I live in Virginia Beach, Virginia. 757 all the way to heaven. 305 will rise this year. 11-1, 12-0, 10-2. I go with 10-2. I ain't tripping. Florida State. I just hope the kids watch the game because, you know, they said Florida State had the best defensive line, correct? Coming into the season. Miami's got all these young guys, new guys, and stuff like that. I hope they watch the game so they'll understand. We can't play like that. Florida State look really bad, but I don't think it'll stay like that. And the other thing, we had a QB that's different. Tyler Van Dyke never had energy. He'd throw an interception and sit on the sideline. Cam is different. I done seen Cam curse in interviews. He's an OG. He's going to bring it. If he throw an interception, he'll probably go to the sideline. My bad, let's get it together. And like you said, you're only as strong as your quarterback and the rest of the team. So with that being said, nice meeting you, Matt. Gary, I'm good tonight, but I don't know what's going to happen next Tuesday. One love. See y'all at the game. Take care. Peace.
All right, Kane Kane. Good seeing you, man.
Hey Gary, you got some people posting stuff. They want the email so they can come on the show and talk and stuff. Just so you know, I mean, people have questions they want us to answer, and
we'll get there. We'll get to the comments. But CaneSport@yahoo.com. If you want to come on the show, email us. We will send you the studio link, and you'll be able to come on the show. All right, let's see. Let's go to the Mikester Kane. It's been a while. What's up, Mikester Kane? Welcome back to CaneSport Live.
Gary and Matt, boy, how you guys doing, man?
What's up?
Hey, well, a couple things I want to talk about. Matt, I got to agree with you, all right? I don't see you as a negative guy. I see you as more of a realist, okay?
Wow. Thanks for the compliment.
Well, yeah, you know, you can't rely on the transfer portal, you know, to get things done. You got to recruit through high school. You got to build depth that way, in my opinion. Okay. That's how I see it. All right. The other thing, too, is 2 words: no excuses. No excuses. It's time to perform now, this year, starting at Florida this Saturday.
So, Mikester Kane, so now that we're on video, like,
yeah.
Do you still have your band?
Yeah, I still got Blue Wave Rockers. Yeah, we're playing Labor Day.
So, like, maybe one Tuesday night or something, you get a couple of the guys together and, you know, give us a little song here on the show or something?
Hey, well, actually, we've got a gig on Tuesday, September 3rd.
Oh, yeah?
Bar 17 on US 17 near Arcadia.
Yeah.
For a private party. So I might be able to work something out.
Yeah, bring your laptop. Bring your laptop and a camera or something connected. And give us a little show.
Yeah, I could do that. Sure. I'll just have my Kane uniform on. That's all.
All right, you got anything else for us tonight?
Well, you know, like I said before, I think Matt is correct in the fact that, you know, don't rely so much on the transfer portal, but rely on recruiting through high school. I live in Port Charlotte, okay, and I know who Myron Charles is, all right? I know him because he used to work, I think, at Sparrow's Pizza. He used to serve me pizza at Sparrow's at the mall. Well, anyway, I guess he's one of the guys that Miami's after. Well, he committed to Florida State, obviously. But, you know, there's a chance that they might be able to flip him. I don't know what the chances are of that. I haven't talked to him, but I can always keep you guys posted on that. So, you know.
All right, sounds good. Well, we look forward to having you part of the show all year. We would love to have a musical performance next Tuesday if you could work it out.
I'll see what I can do. Okay.
Yeah, can you get some lyrics? Get some lyrics, and Gary will sing along with the band. I want to see that. That's all. That would make me happier than Miami beating Florida. Quite honestly, I hate to tell you guys that. I just want to see Gary try to sing.
You guys
you wrote a song for us a couple years ago, from what I remember, right?
Yeah, I tried. I tried. I can't find it though, so I gotta look for it. Ever since my surgery, kind of things have been, you know, in a tailspin here. Yeah. I don't know if I told you guys or not. I had heart surgery. I had a hole in my heart. Is what happened.
Wow.
And
Oh,
I had,
wow.
I had what was called congestive heart failure. So I wound up in the hospital last year. And May 1st of last year, I had surgery. Yeah. I had.
You're doing pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm doing much better. I
Good
can
to see you
actually
doing well.
walk up the stairs at Hard Rock Stadium and not get out of breath. And get
Oh,
this,
thank
I'm 3 months older than Mario Cristobal. Okay,
Ooh.
but I was born with this condition,
Yeah.
and I never knew I had it. So
Scary.
yeah.
All right,
Very
Meister. Well, good to see you back. Looking forward to you being part of the show as the year goes forward. And yeah, we would love the little musical performance if you could swing it next week.
Hey, if you guys like Billy Joel, that's what we'll do.
All right. Sounds
All right.
cool. All right,
All right,
Meister. Good seeing
Take
you.
care.
All right. This next guy we're going to go to has been a mainstay on this show. I know he doesn't have his webcam on, so we're going to have to, have a little makeshift look on the screen. But he always has some really good things to say, and that is Everything 305. If I can get him to come on. Everything, can you hear us?
Gary, can you hear me?
There you are.
Hey, Gary, how are you?
What's going on? Welcome back.
Hey, thank you. Pretty excited about this week.
Yeah, it's going to be something else, man. I've been looking forward to this. This is one road trip I've had circled for several years, really. So, yep, looking forward to it as well. So what you got for us tonight?
Well, I want to just give you a quick overview of some of the thoughts I had. I think we go 10-2 this year. I don't think we come out of Gainesville with the win. It's going to take a while for this offense to find out who they are. And turnovers are on the road, game one. I don't think Florida's going to be a better team than us come the end of the year, but I think going in, it's going to be a little bit too much to overcome, and it has nothing to do with the 64 opening nights over there at Gainesville. They've won in a row openers, I believe. So I don't think it has anything to do with that. I just don't think they're quite ready yet. I don't know how good this kid at quarterback really is. There's a lot of question marks still I see. Run game's great, but if our defense isn't doing a good job and we're not controlling the clock and we turn the ball over, the things can get pretty ugly pretty quick up there.
So let me ask you something. I got a question for you that's actually pertinent to you, since I know you've been a coach into some different sports and stuff through the years. 41 new players on this team this year. That's what's got me the most nervous going up to Gainesville Saturday. I mean, that's a lot of new pieces that you're trying to integrate. They may have some individual talents, but now you have to mold them into a team. From a coaching standpoint, how difficult do you think that is?
Well, you could try to replicate, actual game-like activities, but until you're in the game, they're just bonding activities to try to go ahead and get them all on the same page in terms of playing for one another, right? So even though you've lifted all these weights, you've done all this running, you've done all the things you're supposed to do in the offseason. Well, guess what? Everybody else has done that too. But the key is, have they come together? And is there an alpha that leads certain groups? There's got to be one in the secondary. There's got to be one, at every level of the defense. Same thing on the offense. That quarterback's got to be the man. So there's so many question marks there that it's hard to say, hey, you're just going to throw it up against the wall and it's all going to go ahead and stick great. You don't know that. It's very difficult to get guys when the bullets are flying live. That's when you find out who these guys really are. You don't know Barrow that well. There's question marks on every transfer that we have. I mean, that's why they transferred. Regardless of the NIL money, that they left someplace and went and came here. So many question marks that, I'll give you an example. One year we had, in basketball, you have about 18 on your roster. One year we had 4 JUCO kids we signed, and it ruined us until conference season started. And we struggled early, but then at the end we were playing our best ball, and then we made a run in the tournament. But that can really impact your culture, even though you think they've all bought in, until they actually play for each other. And you don't know that until you're actually playing, because some guys are going to get disgruntled. Some guys are going to be selfish. And those things, when they come up, who's the alpha that extinguishes those fires for you? Because it's not about you as a coach extinguishing. It's your guys. They have to police themselves. And I think it takes time to find that. So if things don't go well, a turnover or two or a bad penalty, how do they overcome that adversity? You won't know until you see them come together. So I think that's the biggest challenge.
Is that my long lost brother speaking right there? He's speaking like he can read my mind. It's like we were separated at birth.
Well, Matt, I don't always agree with you, but a lot of things I do. Let's just keep it at that.
That's my concern. Listen, and it may not be true, just so you know. I mean, that's what Mario Cristobal's job is, and I talked about it on the morning show this morning. You know, he has this way. Mario has a magic about him. He really does in terms of his culture, his personality. It is a cult. I refer to it as a cult of personality, because if you see what he does with the media, like that's with the microcosm I use, which Gary totally took out of context. But if you see how he controls the media and has imposed his will on the media, if he can impose his will and what he wants culture-wise on the team the same way, then like that concern goes out the window. But otherwise, you're 100% right. When you bring in 10, 11, 12 guys you're relying on who have 1 year to impress the NFL and have all their friends and family saying, hey, why aren't you playing 60 reps a game? Hey, why aren't you able to get so many sacks? Why are they making you drop in coverage or just basically let other guys make plays and you're just holding the guy up or whatever the case may be? Depending on the player, that creates a lot of personal conflicts on teams, which is what you're referring to. And if he doesn't fix it, it's a big problem.
I hate to interrupt you, man. I apologize, but add the layer now of, hey, you're the best player. How come you're not getting X number of dollars? And those four guys are barely playing. They got paid. And that's a new layer. I've never dealt with that. I mean, I don't know how you handle that, because that's going to be happening.
Well, fixing that is the key to the season. People say teams have to stay healthy. That's how you win championships. Teams have to solve what you're talking about. And I think Mario is great for that particular aspect. That's why for maybe for another coach, for another culture at a different team, I'd have a lot more concerns about it, and freelancing and guys just doing what they want to do and being supermen, which never seems to work. But I do think Mario has the type of temperament and the type of culture he's building where if a guy does that, he's going to bench him. He's got a little bit of enough depth now where, hey, make an example out of the first guy that does it, right? And then it won't happen again. Because if you bench a guy who's trying to go to the NFL, that's the ultimate message. Losing reps is the ultimate message. I think that's something you will see Mario do, especially on the defensive line where you got a lot of depth. If a guy tries to start being a home run hitter instead of setting the edge or whatever it may be, that guy's on the bench, and then the other players.
He does have leverage now more than ever. And for those type of individuals, he does have leverage, Matt. You're absolutely right. But it still comes down to self-policing. It's still those guys that run their units and everybody following those. That still has to exist. If you don't have that, then you're still where you were the last 6, 7, 20 years that we've been. You don't have that type of leadership that I can't let this guy down because he's that critical to us. And if you don't have that across the board on both sides of the ball, it's going to be very difficult. But try to be optimistic here. I will say this. You talked about if anybody can control a group of people and bring them together, he's learned a lot from the mentors he's had. He did some of that in Oregon, and we don't give him enough credit. But where we don't give this guy enough credit is taking the worst program in all of college football, Division I, and making it not a powerhouse, but making it a competitive program that was consistent for 3 years, developing players, getting certain players to the NFL, and having a good graduation rate. That's omitted in this entire process.
Everything. Let me stop you for 1 second. People use that. And you're talking about FIU for those that don't know what he's talking about. People use that. People that want to hate Mario, that want to knock Mario down a notch for whatever reason they might have. They use the record at FIU against him without any perspective or context at all. I mean, I remember I knew Mario, from that time. I knew Mario from the time he was a player at Miami, and I remember going over to FIU. And their weight room was literally a closet. You had to see this thing. I mean, it was a closet. Like that program They were on probation for academic reasons. They had a closet for a weight room. There was nothing there. What he did at FIU might be the greatest success of his career so far, really. I mean, he did great things at Oregon, won the 2 Pac-12 titles. He's still trying to do something here at Miami. I mean, what he did at FIU in winning that 1 conference title and recruiting players that went to the National Football League and stuff might have been the best accomplishment so far of his head coaching tenure.
I think something else that we overlook is his ability to deal with different type of personalities. Well, he's done it here. He's done it as a GA, as an actual assistant coach. He goes and he does it at Rutgers. He's done it over here at FIU. He goes to Bama. I mean, he's got a record of getting guys to do the hard stuff. Okay, everybody wants to do the easy stuff, but he gets guys to buy in and do the hard stuff and develop. Now, they're not skilled players that he's doing this with normally. Traditionally, they haven't been. They've been predominantly offensive linemen, okay? But he's been able, and I'd say you could throw T.Y. Hilton, but that was a different situation. But he's been able to get guys to grow. And that goes a long way, regardless of where they're coming from, whether they're from the suburbs, the inner city, they're from the Midwest, they're from the Northeast, they're from California. He's got a great track record at that. And that's a certain skill set that not every head coach has. Okay. Are there things that he has weaknesses with? No doubt. We've documented them pretty well so far. And hopefully he's got enough resources this year and he's able to put his ego aside when that person says, we got to do this now. The stats say this. This is not the call. A timeout is needed now. Hopefully, whoever that person is, he's going to listen to. You know, it'd be great if it's someone that has played for him, coached with him before, but someone that he trusts. Is there that person that he ultimately will trust with making a critical decision in a critical moment of a game? Does that person exist on staff, Gary?
Yeah, I mean, everyone thinks he meddles on game day with his coordinators. That is false. I mean, I think he empowers his 2 coordinators to do the heavy lifting on game day. In fact, I think the key to the season, those 2 guys got to come through this year. I won't go game by game, but there were a lot of times last year where I didn't feel that they were coming through, and I like them both. They're great guys. I mean, phenomenal guys. If receivers aren't being covered in the flat, you got to get the ball to the flat. I mean, defensively, if the other team is going to go into an up-tempo, hurry-up offense, you need to be prepared for it. We saw both of those things that led to losses last year. I can think of another one, the Louisville game, where there was single coverage on the outside that was never exploited the whole game. I mean, so the thing is, like these things are the little things that are kind of hidden in the wins and losses that have got to be tightened up this year. These coordinators have got to come through, not just for Mario, but for the entire program, for the entire fan base. It's a lot of pressure, no argument, but these guys are supposed to be making their career moves here. This is an opportunity for them on the biggest stage. They have to be up to the task, in my opinion. If when people say to me, what's the key to the season? That's certainly one of them for sure. And the other thing I'll say is we talk about all these transfers coming in, and I asked you about the coaching challenge and stuff. We can go get Simeon Barrow from Michigan State and hope that he's going to be an impact player at defensive tackle. But we have no clue what we're getting from Simeon Barrow when it's the middle of the 4th quarter. You've been out in 90-degree heat for 3 hours, and the Gators are marching for the tying touchdown, and you got to stop them. What's in here, man? We don't know. We don't have a clue. So there's a lot more variables to this thing, I think, than people, really, are taking into account at this point. We are just assuming this is going to be a 10-11 win season. It needs to be. No argument from me. But I think that there's a lot that is going to go into all this. Will the coordinators come through? Will the players that have been brought in that are here on 1-year loaners, are they going to rise and be counted on and accounted for in the toughest moments of this season, where there are going to be several games that are hanging in the balance in the fourth quarter, because there always are, there always were. Going back to when Miami had the best team in college football, there always was that Boston College game or a game that was tighter than anybody ever imagined.
Virginia Tech.
In recent years, it's been games that we thought were just pencil in W's that we ended up losing. There's so much that'll go into this. Everything. Thank you so much for being part of the show. As always, I hope we get to see you at some point this season and put a face to your name. But always appreciate your involvement in this show. And I'm sure we'll hear from you next week as we talk about the Gator game.
Thank you, gentlemen. Have a great rest of the evening, and thank you for providing this service for us. Thank you.
No sweat,
Thank
man.
you.
It's my pleasure. Hey, I'm just going to throw this out there. We got a lot of people trying to get in the lobby. So if you have been on the show, I am going to have to take you out of the lobby to open up slots for other guys. Just go to CaneSport.com, click on the link, and watch the show on YouTube. You'll be able to get into it really quick. But I have to take you out of the studio at this time to open up slots for some other guys. Matt, we got a ton of questions that are coming in on the chat, but I want to go to a couple more of these guys. Let's go to this guy. He goes by the moniker the Italian Stallion, okay? And I'll let him explain that to you guys. I do not want to. I'm not Matt. I don't think I should go down that road. I think we'll let him explain where this Italian Stallion came from. That's James. How you doing, man? Welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, Gary. I'll tell you one thing. I was licking my wounds Saturday night when my back-to-back state championship team, our rival, handed it to us in 3 overtimes, and I was getting clowned for all the trash talk that I did. And when you messaged me and said, "Do you want to be on the show? This is Gary Furman," I said, "I've been pranked all night long and been given it." I didn't think that this was really happening, but it's good to put a face with you guys. And we miss each other at the games, and I hope to be at the Georgia Tech game this year because it's the closest one to Knoxville, where I live. So, but I've been a Canes fan for so many years. So yeah. But anyway,
where did the Italian Stallion come from?
Okay, so in high school, that was my nickname when I played football because they called me Baby Rocky. Like I was like little Sly Stallone, and I boxed and I played football. So they called me the Italian Stallion. And my grandmother, who was like fully blooded Italian, her last name was Catalano. She married an English guy named Freeman. So that's how I ended up with the last name Freeman instead of Catalano. But I'm very Italian, and we eat and drink wine and all that stuff. So yeah, for sure. So, but that's how I got the nickname, the Italian Stallion. So,
all right.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on the season coming up?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys. You make my morning every morning on the drive home, or the drive to work, rather, from home. So I want to say that you guys are great. And I love Matt's honesty, and I love Matt's recommendations, because if I ever do go back to Miami, I have like a list of restaurants to try. But and I'm a foodie. So, but as far as the season, do you know, guys, I feel like I have the lowest expectations of anything. I think that I've been so disappointed for so many years. I've drank that Kool-Aid, and it's like, show me. This fan base, I want us to win so bad. I want Mario to win. I know he's trying. I know that, he's been clowned, the Georgia Tech game, all that stuff. I mean, everything that could go wrong could have gone wrong, over these last couple of years. But I just hope that Lady Luck comes for us this time. Am I wrong by saying this is the healthiest we've been going into a season? Because I feel like every nook and cranny injury happened over the past 20 years or so to star players or players you were counting on. Would I be saying that, even though they really don't tell you guys that much with the report, the health report and everything like that?
I mean, they don't tell us, but we can't report what we do know. I mean, they're fairly healthy. I think they'll be fine. But to your other point, it's sort of like Stockholm syndrome, right? We've been held captive for 2 decades by a team that has underperformed to expectations every single year. And so it's understandable to me why, let's not get fooled again. Worst case scenario, pick a low number of wins, and then you'll just be happily surprised instead of picking a high number of wins, and then you're disappointed. I never understand why people always want, it's like, I liken it to going to the movies. If someone tells you this is the best movie ever, it's the greatest movie, and you have this high expectation, and the movie's actually pretty good but not amazing, you leave it saying, the movie was just okay. But if you've heard the movie is terrible and your wife forces you to go to it and, I don't want to go, and it's just decent, you think it was great based on your expectations. So to me, I recommend to every fan to be like me, be negative, be depressed, and then all that can possibly happen is you'll be uplifted and happy because worst case scenario, they'll meet your expectations and most likely they'll do better than you think. So I don't understand why everyone always calls me negative. Being negative is being positive. Like, that's a fact.
Yeah. He does know restaurants, though, James. He does. He absolutely does. Like 5 o'clock, like if you're me, if you want to talk to Matt, you better talk to him before 5 o'clock. Because at 5 o'clock every day, he's headed out to some early bird special somewhere. Like he goes to every restaurant in South Florida. Okay, so if you want to know, like, where should I go eat seafood? Where should I go eat steak? Where should I eat Italian? Where should I eat sushi? Whatever it is,
he's the guy.
He is the guy. No doubt about it.
Absolutely. Well, the other thing too that I really and because
by the way, not to interrupt you, Italian Stallion. I only interrupt Gary normally.
Yeah,
Luca. If you're really Italian and you want Italian food, Luca in the Gables, Luka. It'll
all
be
right.
Good. I don't know what you got in Tennessee going on. I'm from New York. That's as good as any place in New York.
We got Altruda's here in Knoxville. The guy is from New York, and he's been in business for 34 years here in Knoxville. So I've been coming here since we moved here from Miami. So, so Luca and the Gables, done. That's where I'm going.
100%. You'll love it.
Done. Yeah, I because of my role of what I do, I have my own podcast covering my high school football team. I also do stats for them. We got punched in the mouth. We were in a 13-0 hole because of turnovers. And one thing that I'm looking for is, and we were in a hostile environment. I mean, I think the moment was too big for a lot of guys that had been the backups to the guys that we lost. We lost some talented guys from our high school team. But you talk about 41 new players being integrated with Miami, and I'm just trying to make a little correlation here. In a hostile environment like the Swamp, because yes, they are basically they've heard it all off season. They have the toughest schedule. They're not going to win more than 3 games or 4 games. Napier's on his way out. I mean, there's been so many things. And last year, Tennessee was supposed to go in there and win for the first time since 2003, and they put a video together just to beat the Vols again. And I'm just like, the 64, in a row home opener wins. I mean, there's a lot to be said about this, and I just want Miami to come in there, play their game. But what I'm looking for is if something happens where Martinez fumbles and they scoop and score, and you're down 7-0 right off the bat, I'm thinking to myself, how do you respond? It's how you pick yourself up and hit back. Not going to lie, last year against A&M, when we got down, I was thinking, here we go again. But they responded. Now, that A&M team was fool's gold, and look at the fool that was coaching them. But at the same time, Miami got it done. This time, but that was at home. Now it's on the road. And the other thing is, when was the last significant road game Miami has won, guys? And none of these players on that team have been on that. Is that a fair point?
Yeah,
it's all fair.
I mean, I don't care that the Gators are unranked. It's still the Swamp. Nobody on that roster has beaten Florida in the Swamp. Of course, we don't play them every year, but still, it is going to take an effort to hit them in the mouth and put it away early if you can. But at the same time, the longer the crowd stays in it, it could help them will them to victory and their coach. And I just am looking for Miami to limit the mistakes and how mentally tough they are, because all I heard about was when Mario came in was the nutrition people that they brought in, the Juicy with his strength and conditioning program, a sports psychologist. And I've seen nothing that showed anything great of the money you've pumped into it the last 2 years. Sorry to troll, but it's like, this is the year, guys. I mean, the talk is cheap. These are Mario's players. The coordinators, Gary, you had a great point with that. The coordinators, we wanted to choke it sometimes last year. I mean, ACC refs throwing flags on the defensive coordinator at North Carolina. I was there to see that live. And it's like, we got to just stay in our lane, know your personnel, call the game, and don't be stupid, honestly. And I know it's.
Are you giving a pep talk before the game? Are you going to be in the locker room?
I wish I was.
If you are, I'm betting against Miami. If you're going to be in the locker room giving your pep talk, that's all.
I mean, I wish I was, but I mean, it's just something that I just wish that these guys would go out there and just knock them in the face. Honestly, just punch them real good and don't even give them any hope, and take the crowd out of it and just do your thing and send a message that, you know, it's not that. Listen, I agree with Mario. We're not back until we actually have trophies and rings and things to show for. But at least announce yourself that you're a contender, that you're in the conversation, and be a part of the conversation. Because this with this playoff now, it's going to be a little different. You can afford a loss here and there, but truth be told, it's only 11 teams. And they're going to be really Big Ten, SEC heavy. And I don't know how much the ACC can get in, especially with Florida State losing right off the bat. Now, as far as a couple of guys that I'm looking for, I want to see if this Zach Carpenter guy is any good at center. Honestly, I mean, this is not Matt Lee, and I hope the fans understand that, you know, and that starts right up there with how the snap is and the snap count and a loud environment, Cam Ward and all that. These are things that I'm going to be looking for. The receivers, do they step up, run the right routes, you know, make plays after contact? The offensive line, how do they hold up? Defensively, especially that defensive backfield that you guys have talked and you had every right to talk about, is can they defend the pass? That's not a trash quarterback. That's on the other side. I mean, he's a guy that he's even been talking trash about how he's going to light Miami up. So hopefully our guys use it as motivation to shut him down. So those are the things that I'm particularly looking for, and I hope that it all comes together. And by about 7:15, 7:30 Saturday night, we are 1-0. We've got that game behind us, and then we can take care of business. The only last point that I want to make, because I know everybody else needs to get on here, is this. Every year I've looked at the schedule and said, we should win this one. We should win that one. The problem is that we have not been the Miami Hurricanes for many, many years now. But those teams still see us as those teams, even though the players that played on those teams have kids themselves and their playing days are long over. But it's the mystique, it's the it's everything like that. And they get up for it. We are everybody's Super Bowl. And what I would love is for us to go on some tour of vengeance to just absolutely annihilate some of these teams. The North Carolinas, all these teams that have flat out punked us in these 20 years of being a part of this conference. And finally this year, just give them the middle finger and say, we're back, let's go, now we run this thing. Until the conference is solved and then we join the Big Ten. But you know what I'm saying. So
you made one great point, and you probably didn't even realize it. Like, there aren't many guys, I don't know if there's any on this team that have won on the type of stage that they're going to see on Saturday.
Yes.
You know, just because it's the first game of the year, you know, national TV, 90,000 fans, the rivalry, the electricity that's going to be in that stadium, including the quarterback.
Yes.
Who was on a 500 team last year, basically, who is here. He might have commanded what he commanded, massive amount of money. And it was, you know, that was the market, no question. If they weren't willing to go there, he wasn't going to be here. But he's here because the National Football League wasn't ready for him. And he has a lot to prove too. And he's never done it on this stage. So there's a lot. Like, don't be surprised, Canes fans, if this is a close football game on Saturday. Mario kind of prepared us for it when he said yesterday that he thought it was going to be a bloody, knock 'em, you know, physical football game. You know, I don't know that anybody's harboring illusions of walking in there and putting up 600 yards of offense and winning by 30. You know, I don't know that anybody's thinking like that's going to be reality. I'm personally expecting a very tough game. I think Florida is going to be bringing a lot of passion and a lot of desperation to that game.
Fighting
and I
for their coach. Yeah.
And I think most of the pressure's on Miami. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But James, great to see you back on the show. Looking forward. Hopefully you'll be with us every week. You have great viewpoints, and we'll see what happens on Saturday.
You bet. Go Canes, and love you guys. Keep up the great work, okay? And hopefully we talk about a win next Tuesday and the next game, whoever we play. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Take care,
I'm moving to Canada if we're not. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah,
oh,
right.
my God. Come on now. Yeah. Later.
All right. Thanks, James.
By the way, Gary, there's one thing he said. Well, first of all, I don't know why his family kicked him out of the house and made him do that from the car instead of in the living room or whatever. But one point that he made that I think was glossed over, which is so important, which I don't think anyone's even talked about, is he talked about he doesn't want to see mistakes. And you see in first games, especially, things on the road that can really cost you, you know. And I'm going to be really curious to see how the operation is on both sides of the ball in the first quarter, because I know they have the helmet communication, which is spotty, and they acknowledge it's going to be spotty. But even with or without helmet communication, you tend to get guys that are so amped up in games like this, a lot of false starts, a lot of offsides, a lot of guys not disciplined. And Mario has made such an emphasis on being disciplined. I mean, Jacoby George, 5 silly personal fouls last season, most of them the latter half of the year. You know, things like that in a game like this, 15 yards could be the difference between a 2-point loss and a 3-point win, you know. So I'm really curious to see, because that's part of the culture, right? How you do anything is how you do everything. And people don't really talk about that aspect as much. So I'm really curious to see, not just are they, you know, bullying them in the trenches? Are they making plays with the skill guys they've got? Is the defensive line, you know, getting the penetration they need to get, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? But are they making silly mistakes, penalties, just dumb errors, not getting lined up, remember Mario last year had to call so many timeouts because they didn't get the right formation on the field, the right personnel on the field, things like that. In game one, it would be really nice to see that they actually are in an operation in year 2 of both coordinators. There's just no excuses for things like that in year 2 of both coordinators. So that's something that the Italian Stallion, what's his real name, James or whatever, you know, I call him Guy, kicked out of his house, has to do the podcast from his car. But like, those are things that I need to see in this game that are so important to really know that this program is going in the right direction. Because the truth is, you know, Florida might be pretty bad. Florida might be pretty good. They have the toughest schedule in the country. They're projected to get 5 or 6 wins. So Miami fans, you know, if Miami beats Florida, some Miami fans may be like, you know, whatever. They beat a team that's not ranked, a team that's going to win 5 or 6 games. Like, okay, it's just nice to beat Florida. They're a big rival. Florida's better than what they're being projected to be. It's why Miami's only a 2.5 point favorite. You know, people think Miami's going to be great. Miami's got the top offense in the ACC, according to most people you talk to, and I think it's true. They have, at least worst case scenario, middle of the pack defense, in my opinion. So like, they should be a top 2 or 3 team in the ACC. And if a top 2 or 3 team in the ACC can't beat a lower level SEC team, which I think Florida will be record wise by the end of the year, you know, that's not great. But Florida is not going to be as bad as its final record. Okay, I honestly believe that. I think Florida has a lot of talent on this roster, and I think if you ask Miami coaches to be honest, they tell you this is one of their toughest 2 or 3 games of the year.
On offense, they do. They do have some talent on offense.
Oh yeah,
I'm not impressed by what I see on the defensive side. We'll see what happens, but on offense, they do. All right, next guy we're going to go to. I got to bring him on because I've been watching him in the lobby for a while here, and he's got a lot going on behind him, and I'm very impressed with the studio setup that he's bringing to the table tonight, and that's BK Hurricane. BK, welcome back to CaneSport Live. How you doing, my man? What's all that stuff going on behind you?
You know what? My girlfriend is an influencer, and this is like her background, so I'm using it. You know, she's got this collage background thing going on, so I'm just using it. I don't do this too often.
I'm going to change the view here for a moment so people can see a little bit more of that.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is all her work. This is all her work right here.
That looks better than my elliptical.
No, but you know, but I'm finally glad the season is starting. You know, finally, you know, like after calling for all these years, you know, I get to come on. You guys get to see. You know, you get to meet me, and I get to see some of the other guys. You know, like so far it's pretty good. Matt, you're doing a great job as usual. Gary, keep up the good work. You know,
thank you, man.
But question, I don't know if it's because I drank the Kool-Aid all summer, but I just don't. I don't see this thing that everybody's talking about with Florida. You know, they're an SEC team, granted hostile environment. They're coming off like Texas A&M to me, you know, like last year. They're just giving me Texas A&M last year, and they're just a bad team, Gary. They're bad. They're a bad team, and they lost to a lot of bad SEC teams as well last year.
Well, I
don't see it.
We don't know for sure. We don't know for sure they're a bad team. We think they're a bad team. We don't know. They're a new team too. Like they got new coaches. They've got transfers, not the same volume and quality. I don't think that Miami has, but you know, I don't know that they're the same team that finished last year with the record they did.
Why do you, BK? Why do you think they're a bad team? Based on last year's record, the end of last season, or based on what?
Well, I don't have anything that'll say that they're a bad team this year. I'm solely basing it off of last year and just basically off of what they lost, and they didn't replace anybody to replace what they lost. You know, like, you know, the transfers they got, I mean, like you said, you know, they weren't free agents. You know, like they're not free agents. They're just a guy that's, you know, that's filling a depth spot pretty much. They didn't get any free agent transfers like you like to say, Matt. You know,
not like Miami. Not like Miami did. There's no excuses for why Miami should lose this game. You're 100% right. The reason why I think some people think Florida is going to be difficult is because they're built in the trenches to sort of compete with Miami, right? They're not a team like there's going to be a lot of teams Miami plays this year where Miami's offensive line and defensive line will just win the game. Like the other team will not have time to throw, will not be able to run the ball, and Miami conversely will be able to run the ball down their throats and won't even have to pass if they don't want to some extent. Okay, Florida's not one of those teams. Florida actually has size, strength on paper on both lines of scrimmage. And they showed last year on offense they can get some things done. Now, like Gary said, their defense is just flat out awful. And you're right. The transfers they got on defense, I'm not impressed by them. You know, I don't think they have what it takes on defense to be even a decent defense, you know, in the nation. But their offense against Miami, specifically Miami's secondary, if Miami doesn't get enough pressure up front quickly, they can cause enough problems to where this could be a 35-28, 38-35 type of game if Miami's not careful. And those kinds of games can go either way on a mistake. So I understand why you think Florida's bad. I think they're bad on defense, but I think they're pretty good on offense. And I think that they're got enough size in the front seven on defense that Miami's not going to just be able to run through them constantly. We'll have to mix things up quite a bit.
Yeah, they said the same thing about Florida State. Look what happened to them.
Well, there you go.
You know, to hear Nick Saban, oh my God, Florida State, they look like a SEC team. Oh my God, I was so impressed. Georgia Tech came out there and just put a hat on them. It was hat on hat. Florida State couldn't do nothing.
Yep.
They couldn't do anything. So Florida lost some of their best defensive linemen either through the transfer portal or through the draft, and some of them just graded out, you know, like graduated. So granted, it's Florida. Granted, it's an SEC team, but I'm picking Miami 38-17 on this one.
Sounds good, man. We'll take that.
Only because Cam Ward is that intangible that could do it.
Let's hope.
If he gets hot and Restrepo gets hot and Jacoby George and they're running the ball, Florida State won't see the field often enough to score enough points on this team. But like I said, I could be drinking the Kool-Aid.
No, listen, if Florida's offense can't get things going, it'll be a blowout. Like you said, it'll be a blowout. A lot will hinge on Miami's defense, because if Miami's defense can just cause some disruption up front, especially the defensive line, against an offensive line that Florida says is really good. I think they have 3 starters back, but they gave up 37 or 39 sacks last. They were terrible last year, okay? And it's the same guys. 3 of them are the same guys who gave up the 37, 39 sacks, okay? Miami gave up 16 sacks last year, just as an example to show you guys. So there's every chance that if Miami's defense can get pressure on Mertz, Florida can't run the ball early, can't throw the ball early. Miami could jump out to a 14-17, 24-0 lead, and it's a blowout. Like, that's what I think you're pointing towards. But conversely, if that doesn't happen, if Miami sort of comes out a little slow out of the gate, has some of the first game mistakes, then it becomes a battle, a close game on the road, and then it goes either way. So I could see where you're coming from. Based on Miami's history, I can't remember the last time they've come out of the gate against a team that's pretty good, in my opinion, and just blown them out of the water on the road. So that would be a great sign, right? Because this is like I've said, this is a referendum on Mario. It's like, I know he doesn't want to take credit for the first recruiting class that he signed, which, certainly part of it was recruited not by him.
We're not arguing about that again. We did that.
I'm not going to go back to that. But if you look at it, every player on the roster was signed technically by him, except for like 3 or 4 guys. So this would be a great referendum for him. For if they blow out Florida and it's Mario's team, I mean, the happy juice will be flowing. Even I will be smiling on Good Morning CaneSport for at least 3 weeks until they play Virginia Tech, which will be the next tough game after that. So I will have a vacation for 3 weeks of happiness. It'll be the first 3 weeks of happiness I've had in 20 years. It would be remarkable. But I'm not ready to go there quite yet. I'm going to take your Kool-Aid, put it in the refrigerator, maybe in the freezer so it doesn't go bad, and then I'll take it out on Sunday, okay?
If they win, I'm going to be insufferable on Sunday on Twitter. I mean, I'm trying to get blocked by everybody. I'm going to be insufferable on Sunday.
All right, BK,
but if they could force Graham Mertz to throw the ball past 20 yards, they'll be fine because that's his wheelhouse. I heard he has a high quarterback rating throwing the ball with short passes. Force him to throw deep, take away everything short, and let's see what these Florida
They want to do that. That's been one of their big initiatives in camp. They want to go deep more. So we'll see if they can do it successfully.
He's about Florida going deep.
Thank you, man.
I'm talking about Florida.
Yeah, and by the way, Florida Mertz had a great rating going deep. They just don't go deep often. I think he threw 29 deep passes the entire season and completed like 13 of them. And that's 20-plus yards according to Pro Football Focus. So they don't like to do it.
Matt.
What's that?
I think you could have did that. You threw the ball 29 times.
Yeah, they don't like to throw deep. He does not like to throw deep. 100%.
Maybe if he wasn't spending so much damn time at Roland Garros playing tennis, he might be able to. All right,
do you know where Roland Garros is, Furman? I'm not going to Paris to play tennis.
BK, thank you, man. Thank
you.
All
right, so Gary, thanks a lot.
I'm sure we'll talk
again.
All right,
good seeing you guys.
Nice seeing you,
man. All right, Matt, I guess I got to let you go.
Yeah, great energy on the show. Listen, it's amazing that these people could have energy, and they actually spruced me up a little bit. I feel somewhat energized, like a small smidgen of energy has entered my system. I'm a little more optimistic seeing these fans who were convinced that Miami's going to win 38-17, and things are all great, except for that one guy who was like my twin brother. Other than that, very excited that the fans are so optimistic, and I hope everybody's right. In Miami land who thinks Miami is going to be great this year, because they certainly have the potential to be. But I've used the word potential so many different times, and potential is not a real thing. Potential is in the ether, okay? If you turn potential into reality, that's when I'll be happy. That's when fans will be like, what happened to the old Matt Shodell? I missed the miserable Matt Shodell. Who's this happy guy who thinks everything's so great? People will hate me then. It is insufferable, just like he said. People who are happy are insufferable. Nobody should want me to be happy, even though obviously we all want Miami to do really, really well. And that's it. I'm out. Thank you for having me. I'm going to go have my late bird dinner now, and no 5 in the morning tomorrow. Thank goodness.
No 5 in the morning tomorrow.
A couple of more mornings after this. So thank you, everybody.
All right, Matt. We'll see you here in the near future. All right. We're gonna before we move on, let's take a moment and hear from our sponsor tonight, KaneWear.
Welcome to KaneWear. New store, new items, same great experience. Family owned and operated since 2010, KaneWear has the latest merchandise from the Miami Hurricanes, Miami Dolphins, Florida Panthers, Inter Miami CF, and more. Come visit us at our store in Davie on University Drive, just south of 595, or online at caneswear.com. KaneWear, the spot Miami fans shop.
It's funny. I was driving by KaneWear the other day. Lines going all the way down the block like crazy. I'm like, what the heck's going on at KaneWear? Season doesn't start until next weekend. So I pulled over, parked, and went to check it out. They were having signings at KaneWear with the Panther players. It was the coolest thing. And all these Panther fans were lining up to go into KaneWear and meet a few of the Panther players and get some autographs and stuff. So they do more than just Canes at KaneWear. But like I said at the beginning of the show, this has really become the true destination for Hurricane fans who want a complete assortment of hurricane gear like that. They'll sell you anything there. If you have kids that you want outfit, you can get kid stuff. You can buy stuff for your wives or girlfriends. If you want tailgate tents and chairs and stuff, they'll sell you that. And these guys are even getting ready to throw a party. Okay, let me pop that up on the screen here. If you are going to Gainesville this weekend and you want a place to hang out on Friday night, KaneWear is throwing a party at Capone's in Gainesville. They're going to have DJ Hose in the patio. Okay. Now, like Matt was saying yesterday, like, we don't know if that means they're going to have Hose on the patio or a DJ on the patio. The banner just says DJ Hose is in the patio. But the party is going to be hosted by our great friend Lamar Thomas. And he'll be there. Uptown Dale of Miami Heat fame will be there. They'll have some alumni there, some raffles and giveaways. So if you're going to Gainesville and you're looking for a place to hang out Friday night, check out the KaneWear party at Capone's. You can get your tickets at KaneSport.com as you're buying all your Canes gear for the season. All right, now I'm going to welcome in my second hour co-host, who is a guy that's very familiar to those of you who have followed our shows through the years. I call him the voice of the fan. Tonight we're dragging him out of the courtroom. He is a practicing attorney, but very rabid Canes fan, and we're dragging him out of the courtroom tonight because Matt had to go to sleep. And that's Bruce Warner. Bruce, welcome back to CaneSport Live. I like that background. I wonder where you got that background. Man, that's a pretty cool background you got.
Yeah, it's the courthouse. That's the courtroom.
Yeah.
I like
so,
that. You help me.
Before we get back to some more calls here, why don't we start out? And you guys that are putting questions in the comments, I promise you, we will get to those too. It's busy here tonight, which is good. But Bruce, give us just a quick synopsis of your thoughts as the voice of the fan going into the season.
Well, I'm a little more optimistic than some of these people, and I'm not Matt. That's for damn sure. Although I love Matt, he's a great person. I am drinking the Kool-Aid. I was down there a few times. I went to some of the practices. I talked to some of the coaches and the players and the former players. I don't know about you, Gary, but this team seems locked in. They seem like they bought in what Mario's trying to preach, and they all seem to be on the same page. That's important. There's not a lot of individuality from what I've seen in the past. Listen, I disagree with Matt to the point about bringing in 10 transfers. I think that once they got Cam Ward, they knew they had to this was the chance to get to where they want to be faster, which means if they can win 10, 11 games, it'll make it much easier for them to recruit, especially the South Florida 4- and 5-star talent, than if they go 8-4 or 7-5 again. So I think Ward was the trigger for getting these guys. I think their defense, the D-line, is loaded. They're 8 to 10 deep. They really are. I think Mertz is in for a world of hurt this weekend. Their offensive line, they brought 3 guys back. One of them is still hurt. They're as of last week, they really didn't know where the 5 were going to line up. So, and I see people talking about run the ball. I don't think that's what they're going to do. You heard Mario, which he never says, we're going to throw the kitchen sink at them. I think that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to play fake. They're going to make these guys bite. They have receivers. They have tight ends. There's just too many weapons. Then you can bring in Johnson out of the backfield who can catch it in the flat and take it to the house. I just think there's way too much talent for Miami, even if it's game 1, to screw this up. And I actually said 38-17 a month ago, and I'm going to stick to it. I don't see Florida staying in this game, except if A, the referees screw us as always, and B,
ACC refs. You got ACC
I don't care.
refs.
They don't love us anyway. We know that. and B, if we make mistakes again. And I don't know. I don't see that as. I think Miami's locked in. I think Cam is locked in. You talk about leaders. He talks trash like nobody else. He's got a mouth on him, and he's the ringleader on offense. I think Mawanoa, the linebacker, he's got a chip on his shoulder. I just think there's too much talent for Miami to go into the swamp, despite the noise or whatever, to lose this game. And that's how I look at it. I mean, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
So old school Canes fans that are watching tonight, you guys will know what I'm talking about. Like, I remember when I was a kid, there was nothing bigger than the Miami Florida game. I mean, the history, the player, the Gator flop, all the different things that went into it. They were, that was the game that was played every year, and it meant more than the Florida State game way back in the day. And on tonight's show, I wanted to have a former player come on that could talk to us about playing Florida, who actually played Florida. And let me tell you something, it was not the easiest thing to work out. Like, we got to go back a little bit, it was 1987 when the Gators decided to become chickens. Miami was riding high, playing for national titles pretty much every year. The Gators were floundering a little bit, and their administrators got a little tired of it. And rather than, try to get better on the field, they decided to become the Chicken Gators, and they canceled the series. And ever since then, you got to beg, borrow, and steal these guys to schedule a home-and-home series.
And if I'm not mistaken, after they lost 31-4 to us, I don't think it was that much later that they said, we're not playing you anymore. I don't think it was like 6 months later. I think it was like right around the time they got their ass kicked again.
Yeah,
so, and they only scored 4 points because Willis Pegues had 2 bad snaps on punts. They got 2 safeties. That's their 4 points.
So I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Dan Radakovich is the athletic director, is going to go up there this weekend for this game, obviously. He's going to talk to their athletic director and bring up the subject of, let's schedule another home and home, maybe 5 years down the road or whatever. But Miami will play Florida every year if they want.
Sure, they will.
Miami's not dodging this game at all. I mean, they will. They don't care. Who cares about the conference schedule, how many games, whatever. If Florida wants to play every single year, like Florida State does, and hopefully always will, Miami will schedule this game every year. But I wanted to find somebody that could talk to us a little bit about that feeling of a rivalry of this degree and going up to Florida Field and playing in games like this. And
so you asked me to get somebody, and I did.
Yes, sir. And so we would like to thank Mr. Maurice Crum for coming through for us here tonight. And you guys remember Mo? He was just an absolutely phenomenal linebacker. Played for the Canes from 1987 to 1990. He was the leading tackler on this football team in 88, 89, and 90. He played for 2 national championship teams. I'm sure you guys remember that. He was a second-team All-American in 88, a first-team All-American in 89.
Weren't you on that Bob Hope show or something like that? Weren't you on national? You were on national TV on Bob Hope.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And in 1990 as well. So Mo, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening tonight to come be here with us on CaneSport Live. And let's start out with that. Like, when you look back and you think back all those years ago to the Miami Florida series, and you were a young kid from the state of Florida. You played in your high school ball in Tampa at Tampa Hillsborough. And so, you were familiar with the Gators, familiar with the Hurricanes. You understood the state of Florida and the bragging rights and all of that. Talk to us a little bit about it. What was in your head back then about Miami and Florida?
I knew the rivalry, it was big. And the year I got there, I knew that was the first game. And I knew that would be my first game on the field against Florida. So I was, hyped about it and couldn't wait to see what it was like. And boy, was it a show.
Yeah, they didn't do anything against you guys. Nothing.
No, they didn't. I mean, the crowd and everything, and then knowing that was the last year at the time that Florida wanted to play us, we wanted to set a mark, and we did.
Wait, you knew that in advance? I don't know if that was true.
No, we thought that they didn't.
Oh, you thought? Okay.
We was going to make them feel like they didn't want to play us.
Oh. And it worked. Is that the game that Kerwin Bell got knocked out and the ambulance had to come on the field or something like that?
Yes,
yeah, he took a beating. He took a beating.
he took a pounding.
Yeah, he did. I hope that happens Saturday too.
So, Mo, what were your thoughts when the series ended? Like, you know, Florida's not playing you anymore. They don't want to play the Canes anymore. Did you guys as players think about that at all?
Oh yeah, I mean, just like everyone, we call them chickens, just like everyone else. I mean, we love that rivalry. I mean, you've seen these same players in high school and along the way, and you wish to play them again, but again, they went to some place and hid. So, but you know, we got our chance again. So, hopefully, we get that rivalry renewed.
Yeah, well, they played us when they had Tebow, and big deal. They had Tebow. It was like a one-man team, but you know, I think this is our year, and I'm hoping it comes around. We get this thing straightened out because Miami needs to have this win. I mean, everybody says if they lose, it's not an ACC game. I don't care. This is the Gators. You got to go up there and beat them. I don't care what the score is anymore. Just win this damn game, and then take it week to week.
Most definitely, and that'll be a key start to the season.
Yep, got to win this game, Gary. I think we talk about who needs it more. I don't really care about their coach. I just want Mario to win this game and get the monkey off his back, because if they lose this game, I'm afraid to see what happens on these boards. I just don't want to even think about it. You know, I'm going on a cruise Sunday. And I said on the other show that I do that if we lose Saturday, I might not go on the cruise. I may just go to a funeral home and get it over with. I just don't want to deal with this. Got to win this game.
Well, hopefully they go out there and take care of business.
Yep.
So Mo, let's talk a bit about some of these little subplots that are involved here this weekend. Let's start with 41 new players on this football team going into a new season. You know, you guys never dealt with anything like that. I mean, there was no transfer portal. There was no NIL. You came to Miami. You usually stayed at Miami for your career. What's it like integrating 41 new players into a team and now having to go play what could be a very difficult football game on Saturday?
It's different, and times have changed tremendously, and that's that way across the board with all the schools. That portable is making a world difference. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. You know, just as coaches and the staff that's there, they got to be able to make that new connection with all these players, and hopefully they can gel together and be able to play some good football.
Yeah, you know, I look at this, Mo, as Ward. This is Ward's opportunity to really shine. And I've compared him, not that he's the same kind of player as Jordan Travis up in Florida State last year. That's a quarterback who made himself better, but also he had the ability to make something out of absolutely nothing. He did it against us. He did it almost every week. He could be
consistent. Yeah.
He was trapped. He made something happen when there was no play to happen. I think that's the big difference with Ward. It's not talked about that much, but in this particular game, he could be trapped back there and get out of it and dump it off, and they could still score. He has that escape ability to make big plays when there's nothing open.
Oh, yes. And, I mean, he's proven that where he was, and this is why we bought him over to Miami. So hopefully he can make those plays and make some things happen for us. And, I mean, we're going to need it this week and many more weeks to come.
Right.
You know, I was talking earlier, you got all these guys now that are making money, and they got the ones that are in the portal that are free agents, so to speak, obviously have a little bit of leverage that, you know, a lot of players can't really relate to. But like, I'm curious, like, you know, I use Simeon Barrow, a defensive tackle, big defensive tackle from Michigan State, who came here instead of going, you know, trying to go to the NFL because, you know, his draft grade wasn't there yet. So he comes here now and is like essentially a 1-year loaner. And like, we don't know, like, we knew, like, when you played from the day you stepped foot on campus, we knew that Maurice Crum was showing up every Saturday. You led the team in tackles for 3 years. Like, we knew you were going to be there. But when you have these guys coming in on 1-year loaners, and yeah, they're trying to make the NFL and the scouts are watching them and all of that. But how do we know that they're going to stand up and be counted in the most critical moments of these games because there's no history with them.
Right. I agree with Gary. And the Tyler Barron at Tennessee played against Florida, so he knows Mertz. But I do agree. I've never seen Barrow play. I didn't watch Michigan State, so I really don't know what he's capable of. But he's a name. He's a transfer, so they think highly of him. But we don't know. And one of the things that Leon Searcy, and I had him on the show, said the same thing. He said, you know what? There's a lot of new guys, but as a unit, did they really know what the other guy's going to do? You know, I talked to Russell Maryland. I talked to a few other people. The defensive line, they need to know what these guys are going to do. You don't want individual players. You don't want guys getting out of their lanes. I hope these guys have played enough in the spring and in the fall to be able to work as a unit. Talk about what it is to play as a team, as a unit.
Trust is very big on that field. And you got to believe in that person next to you, knowing he's going to be in that gap where he needs to be, or in that zone where he needs to be doing that play. And that's going to be all night long, like he's at. And we don't know. And hopefully the spring or the time he's been there, you know, they've made that connection and they believe and trust in each other, play after play after play. I mean, we were able to, if someone messed up, we were able to go into the huddle and tell them, hey, man, you messed up, get your whatever together, and you come out and play the game. And in some cases now, with the attitudes and stuff that's out there, some guys you can't do that with, and it ruins everything on the field. So, you know, I mean, you got to make those decisions as coaches, but hopefully they don't have that problem. Hopefully they've already understood Kane football, and hopefully they can come out and play.
It's going to be very interesting. To me, it's one of the subplots of the season, no doubt about it. So any additional thoughts you have about this season that's coming up?
I'm just looking forward to the start for Florida, and it's 1 week at a time. I'm hoping Mario can make some waves and get some things done on the field, and hopefully they have a.
What happened?
I think he buffered a little bit. But all right, Mo. Well, you know, thank you so much. We appreciate so much you popping in here to spend a few minutes with us tonight.
I just want to say one thing about it. He was an officer, a police officer, right, Mo? Up in Orlando.
I'm about to retire, so
right. And he was, and when they had that Pulse shooting, he was one of the first officers there. And I've talked to Maurice about that. It was horrible, but you know, thankfully, guys like you that get there and they could, you know, stop the damage. But it's great seeing you, my friend.
No problem. Nice to be here, and anytime. Just give me a
Thank you, Mo. Yeah, maybe we'll do it again. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Maurice Crum, everybody.
What a good person.
Gotta hope.
It took 10 seconds for him to say, yes, I'll do the show.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. He really is. And was a heck of a player. So it'll be interesting, you know, it'll be interesting to see how some of the Canes linebackers of this year show up. Looking for a lot out of Wesley Besainth this year.
Yes.
I think we're going to see an improved Wesley Besainth. He certainly has the ability to play like Maurice Crum played.
Yes, he does.
And he seems to
understand. But Maurice was a sure tackler. So I watched some of the highlights from some games like last night with him. He was really a great tackler. Not big, but he could tackle.
Yeah. Well, you know, what Wesley has looked very good to me in this preseason, and I think he's ready for a big year. He understands the defensive concepts now, and should be ready to cut it loose beginning Saturday in Gainesville. All right, now we're going to go to a guy who I've been, and I apologize, it's taken a little bit to get him on the show here. He's been dancing and prancing, and
this is that guy.
I'm not quite sure what his set is. We're gonna have to figure it out when we bring him on. But this is a long time participant in the show. Let's go to Jake. Jake, welcome back to CaneSport Live. Wait, I got to go to the wide view here so people can see this little set you got going on behind you. You got the plants. Nice. Is that a bedroom over there on the right?
Yes.
Wait, we can't hear you. Wait, you're muted. Wait, let me fix that for you.
Let's fix that.
There
Let's
you go,
try
Jake.
that again.
Yeah, go ahead.
How's it going?
What's up, Jake? Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. This is a lot of fun doing this video and putting all the faces to the name. Has Greg been on yet?
No.
Greg is intimidated by the technology. I don't know.
Is it? Oh man! For some reason, like either the guy's like a giant, or I could see like a Danny DeVito type situation, and that would make me thrilled.
I gotta keep working on him and try to get him to figure it out. Yeah, he was very, very nervous about figuring out how to even use a computer. Like he's
I didn't even realize I had a little what do you call it? The camera cover here, and I saw it was gray in the corner there, and I'm like, oh, what's this thing here? And so got that figured out. But yeah, no, I'm like the most technologically inept 42-year-old on the planet.
No, you're not.
So.
I'm worse than you, and I'm 70.
Well, I got a couple years your junior there, so yeah, no, I got.
So what's up, Jake? What's on your mind?
This game is, to me, this is the definition of the Cristobal era. I think if this can set the whole tone for the season, and with the I've heard you guys talking a lot about the 41, 42 transfers, new players, everything else. The key to me is that you have to start strong. Mm-hmm. You don't know how all these guys are going to react, and so if you come out, flat, you just don't have the juice. It is going to be a nasty environment. I'm sure. I've never been to the Swamp. I got a couple of friends who are Gators fans, and they all say it's a pretty nasty environment. And if you don't come out swinging, on paper, we are the better team. There's no question about it. Mertz, I mean, he'll complete 35 passes for 95 yards, and he can't throw the ball downfield. This sets the tone, and you just had Maurice on the show. To me, Cristobal, what he's been doing in recruiting, you know me, I've been on the show for years, and I'm very critical of Mario. I was a Lane guy. I wanted Lane Kiffin because I thought he'd bring the juice. And but what he's done with recruiting is nothing short of miraculous, given the results on the field. He is a sub 500 coach as of right now. And to me, this game has to be the culmination of what he has been building. And even more to the point, when I see a guy like Maurice or whatnot, it's that state of Florida that Schnellenberger built, and you got to rebuild that wall. And we're definitely making the improvements in the Florida recruiting, but to me, the center of gravity in college football, during the championship years, it was unquestionably Florida. You look in that, and from the time Miami won its first championship to 2008, when Florida won their championship, a Florida team played for the national title almost every year. I think it's like 20 out of 25 years. I think every year during that period, at least one Florida team was in the top 5. That's no longer the case. Florida, although still wildly talented, is it's no longer the center of gravity with college football. To me, right now, Georgia is, Alabama, that kind of Gulf Coast area. And so, to me, setting that dominance in Florida, the problem is it's too diluted. There's plenty of talent, but it's getting divided between Florida, Miami, Florida State, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan. They're all coming in, Notre Dame, rating it. You have to build that wall. And in order to do that, you have to win. The last couple of years, he's been selling this vision. But there comes a point where it's put up or shut up. You got to get it done.
That's the critical point. They have to win this game. This is the springboard. Now, the thing is that a couple of years ago, Gary and I did this just a couple of days before the Canes went to Dallas to play LSU, and boy, were we wrong. We thought we were ready for that game. We were dead wrong. Both.
I was at that game. Yeah.
Yeah.
I lived in Dallas at the time, and we were rowdy going into that. Boy, were we quiet when that game
was supposed
over.
to be Manny's breakthrough. That was supposed to be his breakthrough game, just like this is supposed to be Mario's breakthrough game.
Yep.
And it fell flat. And I don't know that the team ever recovered from that the rest of the season, Jake, because I remember there was like this feeling like of shock, like, you know, like coach, you said we were supposed to be good. Like we thought we were supposed to be good. And LSU spanked them around. And I don't know that they recovered. I really don't.
Oh, that was brutal. Same thing you could say the following year against Florida. We had that tough loss, right? To me, this game, I think we either blow them out or I don't like it close. If that game's close.
Yeah, it's scary, especially with the refs.
I don't like
they hate
that.
us.
Yeah, I think if we win, I think it's by 14 plus points. But I don't like this in a close game at the Swamp. But yeah, same thing. Even that Texas A&M game. You look, we had several seasons the last couple of years where there was some promise, and we played an SEC team, lost close games. Even that LSU game wasn't so close, but we had moments in it. But then they just in that fourth quarter in the second half, they just stomped us, and it just deflated the whole season. And I don't think with a team of this many transfers and freshmen and everything else that. Like, I don't like the way that goes. And I think, you know, again, Mario recruiting, best coach, you know, you'll find. But when we're talking
that remains to be
game
seen.
day, what's that?
Jake, I think that remains to be seen. I got to tell you that all the people that I speak to, they're thrilled with the recruiting and the portal. They're all worried about his coaching ability.
The game day.
He might not like to hear this, but that's what I keep hearing, and I'm sure he hears it too.
I
know one thing. I've been down there a lot. He's resolved to stop with the stupid play calls and the bad plays and not taking knees and whatever else has happened in the past year. But the one thing that Gary brought up in the first hour, which I agree with, was the absolute inconsistency of last year. We were down 10-0 to A&M. We kicked their butts.
Yep.
Then we go and we play Georgia Tech. We should have killed them. It should never have come down to the end of the game.
We should have won by 2 touchdowns.
And then we go to North Carolina. We're up at the half. In the second half, they're in a no huddle. We look like we never saw game film in our lives.
Louisville. It was like we
too.
forgot what defense was.
Yep.
We should have stopped them. But they're tight ends who didn't do anything the entire year, put up like 200 yards and how many touchdowns against us. And that's, you know, when I said I was a Lane Kiffin guy, that was why I've never been the biggest Mario fan, is because I just don't think he, you know, look, talent to me, it's about 50% talent, 25% culture, and 25% like game day coaching, prep, everything like that. I don't think he brings anything to the table on that coaching aspect. And we saw last year, he got schooled a couple of times.
Right. But Jake, here's another thing that Gary and I know. When Mario got here, and I'm around a lot of these former players constantly. He sat down with these guys. He said it to us. I was down there with a couple of these guys. He had no clue what he walked into when he came to the spring practice and he saw these guys and their lack of ability to work hard and to be dedicated to working hard and making it happen. He was blown away. He just was. It was like a paradise camp. It really was. It was, and he had to take that culture, and he had to bring in players that he knew were going to play hard every down and practice hard, and not be these prima donnas like when they make these announcements. Oh, I'm taking my talent to Miami for the next 3 or 4 years.
3 years,
halfway out the door before they get here.
But let me
3
say
years. I'm in the first round. Yeah.
Let me say a couple things about that. Like, he did win 2 conference titles in 4 years at Oregon. Okay. I know one of them was in the COVID year, whatever, but you know, he kind of proved that he can do it out there. He had a couple moments that people shook their heads about. And I think what happens is once you get that stamp, he can't manage time. He makes bad decisions on game day. Once you get that stamp put upon you as a head football coach, it's really hard to shake it. And then when you come to Miami and you make the mistake that he made against Georgia Tech last year, that only exacerbates it. It makes it worse.
I was at that game. I was walking out of the stadium because in my mind, the math said there's a minute 19 on the clock. You have 3 downs, 40 seconds, plus I left. And then we lost. I was in the parking lot and we lost.
So the only way he shakes it, Jake and Bruce, the only way he shakes it is by winning. And cleaning that up. And the one thing about Mario that I've noticed here in this offseason, a couple of the things that I thought were problems coming out of last year is I thought there were way too many games where offensively they just weren't quite as good schematically as they needed to be. And he's brought in a couple analysts to help out on offense. He needed more coaching talent on that side of the ball.
He had a bad quarterback, Gary. That quarterback killed.
Yeah, but it was more than that, Bruce. It was more than that.
I'm
not laying the whole season on Tyler Van Dyke like some people.
I'm not throwing the whole thing on him, but there was 100 plays where there was guys open in the flat. He didn't even look.
He mentally imploded, no question.
Yeah,
but you know, there were some things in different games that were not exploited, and Mario has elevated the coaching talent on that side of the ball. I didn't feel like they had enough of it up in the booth upstairs on game day. I think that'll be addressed this year. And the other thing is he had one of his analysts spend an enormous amount of time in the off season putting together protocols for time management late in the first half and at the end of games. And they took this to a level, wait one second, Jake. Wait one second. They took this to a level that they consulted with some of the most successful coaches in football to get their input, their thoughts and stuff. So they have a plan that's probably better than the plan they had last year, where they had a protocol that just got ignored in the heat of the battle.
May I interject something?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to put you on the spot. What's 4 times 30? Or I'm sorry. What's 40 times 3?
120.
120. Very simple. I was pretty drunk at the Georgia Tech game, and
you might be drunk right now. You're pounding that glass of wine. I see you.
Yeah, no. I mean, I reversed my numerals there, but yeah, 3 times 40, it's 120. When they got the first down, there was 119 seconds on the clock. So the game's over. I was drunk and understood that. He makes $8.5 million a year. You shouldn't need to hire people to do basic math when you're earning that kind of money. I
think I hear you, but you know what? I just spoke to Randall Hill the other day, and he explained that to me. He said, you know what? When he played there and Mario was there, they had a mentality. They ain't taking any knees. They just shoved the ball down your throat, and that's what he tried to do.
Yeah, I know he ruined the season.
Right. He was trying to get 100 yards for Chaney. It didn't happen. So, but you know what? That's the mentality that he grew up with. Jimmy Johnson had the same mentality. I'm not going to take a knee, but it cost him. But you know what else cost him? After that, they had 2 more downs, Georgia Tech. And the last down, they should have called a timeout because they had one and told those defensive backs, the safeties, do not leave the goal line. And they did, and we lost it.
They mentally checked out.
Yeah, they just were out of it at that time, and they had no business losing that game, fumble or no fumble.
Yeah, no, but they were freelancing, and that Cam tried to be a hero on that last play, and it blew up in his face. But so I mean, I'm harping on that, and that wasn't what I meant to get at. You know, hey, look, at this point, to me, the past is a past. We're not changing that.
We got to win Saturday.
Yeah. But Saturday is just so critical. To me, this is the most important game Miami's played in 20 some years since they played for the national championship. 23 years ago?
Yeah,
because it's just
Ohio State that they got robbed.
Yeah, well, our 6th championship that got stolen, but like Florida State lost on a bad note. You got a chance to go make a statement. Go establish that state of Miami. I think players want it. When you know, I've kind of stopped following the recruiting as much because it's just like, oh, it's my dream school. It's this and that. All right, whatever. You know,
Gary always
fantastic.
posts that.
Right. Great. Then commit. You know, like
commit.
You dreamed of it since you were 5. All right, fine, commit. But the like the way I'm just looking at it, I think these kids want to go there. There's a lot to like about it. You got the history. You've got a beautiful setting. What a perfect place. To me, establish it. Show them that. Because if he can't get it done this year, I think the results in recruiting, I don't see them continuing, no matter how much effort he has. If we go 8-4, even to an extent 9-3, kids know we got the talent to win. So if you can't produce anything with it other than like, okay, hey, we can beat the Patsies on our schedule, maybe win 1 out of 3 games against teams with a pulse. Even though they want to go there.
I'm trying to be realistic and not be a homer, but I got to tell you, Jake, I think we're going to beat them. I don't know if it's going to be close. I just cannot see them staying with our offense. We're so
I think we win by 17.
But, you know, we're so loaded. If they call the right plays, they got to get Johnson out in the flat. They got to run. They got to put in some of the other backs. They got to throw the ball. They got tight ends that could really do a lot of damage. Sam Brown could run. Horton could run. George.
What about the defensive line? I mean, Gary, a question I wanted to ask you. Could you see a scenario where we're going 4 defensive ends end to end? Alston, Bain, Mesidor, Barron, mix it up how you will.
Yeah.
That seems sick on a 3rd and 12. Like,
keep it down. Keep it down.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it's going to be interesting. They got a lot. They got a lot of pieces this year.
Oh, that's a lot of pressure. And then maybe Maui Noah on a blitz.
Woo. Yeah. All right, Jake. Before you give out any more of the game plan, I'm going to let you go. drink your wine. I'm sure. Hopefully, we'll see you again next Tuesday. Thanks for being part of the show, man.
Next week with a win. Thanks.
All right, my man. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of that wine.
Hey, some of these guys are talking about bringing on different guests already. So somebody wants Tremaine Mack. I can get Tremaine Mack. That's not a problem.
I hope Mario's not watching the show.
Why? We didn't say anything. What did we say?
He may have just driven off the road. But all right, let me see. There's a Greg sighting. This is so funny. Greg, if you can hear me, your devices are not connected. Okay. You have to connect your microphone. At least we can bring you on audio only, but you have to connect your devices. So I'm gonna boot you right now out of the lobby and give you a chance to reload. And you gotta connect your at least your audio device, if not your audio and video. So hopefully you'll be able to rejoin us here. Let's go now to Sebastian. Your audio only. Welcome back to CaneSport Live, Sebastian.
Oh man, Gary. I'm out of CaneSport's prison. How many times have I been locked up and banned on CaneSports? I'm so happy that you found the generosity in your heart to let me back on, at least for a little bit.
How much did you have to pay him?
I didn't have to pay him anything, thank God, but I had to plead with him, and I had to plead with Matt as well. But you know, he put me in timeout for probably the 3rd time all summer. I sat there quietly, just reading and observing in the corner of the room. And I've been a good boy so far.
Yes, you have.
The first thing
see how long that lasts.
First thing I want to say
better win
is that I want to commend you for this clear step up in technology. This experience is 10 times better than what we were doing before on Blog Talk Radio.
No, we like a lot better too. There's some guys that don't want to, like yourself, that don't want to be on camera. And you know, as you're showing, you can do audio only. So there's some people that are a little intimidated by the technology, but this is definitely much better for today's world. And I think it's going great tonight, and we will certainly keep this way.
So I want to hit on a subject that you just touched on a second ago. I don't think I remember an off season where there's been more secrets than this off season.
Secrets.
So
Yeah.
many secrets. And there was a comment the other day after the FSU game, and I really want to get your actual unfiltered opinion on this, that FSU fans were having everything blown up their butts about how good FSU was going to be. And I was listening to one of the pundits on Twitter earlier today, and he broke it down to two different things. Either the people who were writing about the team were just saying how they were going to be good, or the people that were in the team were pushing how good they're going to be. And we know nothing about this team. I mean, you've said it. We got 41 new players. As fans, we know nothing. And you guys have been doing a great job, a really great job at getting us as much information as you can. But Secret Mario over there has not been letting anything go public. What's the true story? Because everybody's saying we're going to kick the Gators' ass, and we have no idea.
Yeah, let me unwrap that for you. You know, the first thing I'll say is FSU had no rights to have those type of expectations. They lost the majority of their key players from last year's team. And whenever you're replacing a lot of guys, you have a lot of unknowns. No different than, we have a lot of unknowns. I mean, we're expecting to be really good, but we have a lot of unknowns going into this game. A lot of them. I mean, we got more
Gary,
talent.
let me ask you this. I saw some Gator guy, because I was on the War Slant, or whatever they call it, War Chant, and they were saying that they should have paid more money to get Ward. Now, I never heard that Ward really wanted to go to Florida State.
Never for 2 seconds did he want to go.
2 seconds, right? That's crap.
He was going to. He really wanted to go to the NFL. He wanted to go to the NFL. That was his number one hope. But once he realized that the NFL wasn't going to be there for him the way he would want it to this year, and he could make $1.5 to $2 million being the quarterback at Miami, to be quite honest, he made the decision to come to Miami.
Yep.
But the secret, everyone asked me about the secret Mario, and it's really not that bad. It's really not. Like they didn't make a lot of crazy requests of us. Just don't report on injuries. Don't report the depth chart. I mean, that was really it. But I mean, we still have a projected depth chart. I mean, it's not rocket science. There's not, maybe Jake just let a little cat out of the bag. That's an obvious little wrinkle. But I mean, it's like there's not a lot there. I mean, this whole Secret Mario thing is overblown. He understands how big of a football game this is. I'm not sure he likes it, because if it doesn't go well up there, he's got to hold this thing together. He's got a fan base that, like, this is everything Saturday. I mean, I don't sugarcoat it, because it would be stupid. I mean, that's not reality. This game is everything for University of Miami. It is a chance for validation that everything that has been done, from all the money that's been invested, the money being put up by supporters and boosters for NIL, that, like I said at the beginning of the show, the only return on investment, they don't even get tax breaks. Okay, the only ROI for that is the joy of watching this program win and be relevant on the college football landscape. Okay, you got to win Saturday to be relevant on the college football landscape.
And Gary, especially in light of Florida State losing, they could be up. Florida have a loss, Florida State, and we're 1-0. We won a big game on national TV. That's huge.
It is, but but to me, this is more about Miami. Okay, this is more about Miami, and this is the opportunity, and you get them. The beautiful thing is you're 0-0 at the beginning of every year. You get them usually once a year, once every couple of years. This is the opportunity right now, right here, to validate everything they're saying, everything they're doing, and make themselves relevant moving forward here, where you got the next several weeks of the schedule are pretty, much softer spots. And you get off to a good start here and build momentum. You're going to be in big football games in the middle of the year. And, that's all you can ask for. So, they
were 4-0 last year, Gary, and laid an egg. So 4-0, we were all talking great.
This isn't Texas A&M game. This is the Florida game.
Yes.
This is different.
Gary, as someone who has seen this team with his own eyeballs, because we haven't had that opportunity and there's been limited information, set some expectations for us. Are we all just wishful thinking right now that we're going to go out there and have one of the best rosters in the nation? Or, Are the
I don't
expectations
think
a
the
little
best
bit more?
rosters. It's not an illusion. It's true. They're loaded.
Sebastian, I don't think they'll play a team this year that has a better roster.
Right.
That's just my opinion. Now, what does that mean? Like, how are we've been talking all night? How are they going to come together? You can't just have talent. Are they going to be unified? How are they going to handle it when they're here for the stage and to prove themselves to the NFL, and they have one catch for 10 yards, or they've only played 25 snaps on defense? There's so many elements to this. Are they going to stay together? Is it going to become a locker room about me and not about team? I don't think there's so much to this, in my opinion. What heart are they going to show when the game's on the line, when they don't have any allegiance to Miami? They didn't grow up wanting to play for Miami. A lot of these guys are here on 1-year loaner plans. Okay. How hard are they going to be willing to play for the U? All things that I think are factors over a 12-game season.
Yeah, but there's enough guys on this team that will lay it on the line for Miami. I'm not really worried about that. I said 20 minutes ago, I have not seen this team more unified than in the last 15, 20 years. These guys really are out there. I saw what's his name? Shamar Kirk in one of the practices. He caught every ball. He's 8th on the depth chart, but that guy's really good. Nye Carr's really good. These guys are good. Riley Williams has looked good getting down the field. We saw what the tight end from Nevada has done. Oh my God, is he incredible? He's played all over the place. Yeah, they have a lot of young kids. I'm somewhat concerned about the secondary, but I think our front seven is going to dominate the line of scrimmage. And I don't care what the rotation is. They're 8 to 10 deep on the D line. I think they're going to be chasing this kid, especially if it's hot. They'll rotate and wear Florida's offensive line down. That's what I believe.
All right, Sebastian, you got anything else tonight?
Do you agree with Bruce?
Yeah, I mean, I do, but I understand this is not a given. It's not a slam dunk. I mean, I'm not going to be the least bit shocked if this is a game in the fourth quarter Saturday. I mean,
are you holding off on giving us a score prediction until Friday?
Yes.
Listen, you know what else is good is that Mesidor is back and he looks real good. I don't know about secrets or not, but that's the truth. Everybody talks about Bain. This kid is really good, and he's back, and he's healthy, and he's causing a lot of problems. So I expect that to happen Saturday too. This kid's all over the place.
All right, Sebastian, you got anything else for us tonight?
No, just don't ban me again. I'm a good guy.
All right, my man, just keep behaving, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, he was good tonight.
Yeah,
very well behaved.
Well, hopefully you'll be back on the show next week. Thanks, Sebastian. All right, million questions.
Why'd you ban him?
Huh? Oh, I don't remember. He was he gets a little carried away on the message board sometimes at CaneSport. All right, million things being posted here. Sorry it's taken us so long tonight to get to this. Oh, by the way, Greg, I see you, but your devices are still not connected. I'm gonna knock you out one more time. You got one more chance tonight to figure it out. If not, I will give you a call at some point here in the next day or so and give you a seminar, because we definitely want you as part of the show. All right. So truth over falsehood. Let's see here. With Canes fans so accustomed to Miami starting off games slow, sluggish, uninspired, already down a score or two, do you worry that we go through that again against UF? No, I don't worry about that at all. I think they come out extremely motivated and
extremely aggressive.
Yeah.
I don't know about the aggressive part. I think they're going to wing it all over that yard. That kid
it's going to be interesting to see, because I could see them testing the running game early in this game. I really could.
Well, that's probably looking to see if the safeties are coming up, or if they got 7 or 8 in the box. That's what they're probably looking to see. And if it was up to me, my first play, you guys, I'd fake a handoff to Martinez, and I throw down the middle to the tight end, 15, 20 yards, and get those guys off the line of scrimmage right from the first play. That's what I would do. But
the thing to me is, Miami knows going in they have a better roster in Florida. Mm-hmm. And, when you have a better roster, you don't want to be conservative, but you don't want to be stupid either.
Right.
Okay. This is still week 1. You still have, this team has never played a game together. You're incorporating a lot of new technology with the headsets and things like that. There's a lot going on in the first quarter of the game. The last thing you want to do is do something stupid and start having turnovers and things like that. They're going to allow Florida to get ahead on the scoreboard. You want to get ahead in this game.
But it's
you
a
want to
game
make
of
them
challenges and matchups. And I'm telling you, I think if you fake the handoff to Martinez, the front 4, the 3 linebackers, and 1 or 2 of the safeties are going to come up and try to stuff it, and they're going to get caught with their pants down. I would throw to Arroyo in the middle of the field. That's just what I would do. I think that would really screw them up, because then they know every time there's a fake to Martinez, if they bite, they're going to get burned. But that's just me.
Shannon Dawson, watch out. Bruce is coming for your job.
Yeah, I know. I talked to him.
All right. Truth over falsehood asks an interesting thought. If Miami had Florida's schedule, how would we fare? And they do have the hardest schedule in college football, and people think they're going to win four games this year. If Miami had to play that Florida schedule, how many wins would Vegas be saying? They're saying 9.5 with what is really a pretty easy schedule. So what would Vegas be saying if Miami had to play Florida's schedule? 7, 8, maybe.
Maybe.
It's interesting. It's a very interesting thought. But I do think Miami can compete. If Miami gets this thing going and gets all these guys playing together, they're not Georgia, they're not Alabama yet for sure, but I think that they could be, pretty.
Does Florida play either Oklahoma or Texas, the 2 new teams, or no?
I believe they play at least one of them. I don't have the schedule in front of me. I'll try to look it up here in a minute. But
I think our athletic director is going to have a hard time getting them to commit to playing us every year with the talent that the SEC has now. I just don't see it.
Yeah. Now Cuban Damas says this team is not better than Rick's first year player wise. Bruce, I don't agree with that at all.
I don't agree with that at all. Not even close. Our receivers they had a couple of good receivers. But big difference. The quarterback is not even remotely close. The depth in the backfield, not close. Our offensive line is now massive, which is what Mario wanted. He got it. I know he's got guys on the second team that are pretty damn good, like Bell and probably Okunlola is going to be on the second team at right tackle. So I don't agree with that.
Shard wants to know, is the Lamar Thomas show coming back tomorrow night, baby? 8:00, same channels as this show. Lamar will be back in action with us.
Not with us.
Let me see. Kane's cast heat is actually asking why I didn't ask about the scholarship limit. You're talking about the Dan Radakovich interview from yesterday, and they are working through that. You're going to be allowed to have 105 players in football, it looks like, okay? Right now you have 85. That's 20 new players. Well, the scholarships alone are $2 million. That's before you get into all the medical and all the food and all the everything else. You're talking to add those 20 players, a few $1 million. I mean, they got to make some decisions. Like, how significant do they really need 105? Maybe do they go to 90? Do they go to 95? These are all the kind of things that I think are still being worked through. So it would have been really a little premature to harp on that. And I know they're discussing it all. But schools all over the country are going to have to figure this out, because you need money for NIL. I mean, at the end of the day, all 85 players are now going to be on revenue sharing, number one. And then number two, it's not like they're going to not want NIL deals, okay?
Right.
Like, they're still going to want NIL deals.
And those other guys are probably fringe players anyway.
Well, where's all this money?
Part.
Where's all this money gonna be coming from? I mean, I know the university is supporting the program more than it ever has. But you're talking about adding a few $1 million doesn't just grow on trees. So it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to approach all of these things. T-Dog, my man T-Dog.
T-Dog.
Is 5-star coaching a premium? What do you think, Bruce?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I mean, you look at the coach from Washington last year. Now he's coaching Bama. I don't really have a lot of trust in Penn State's coach. He's good, but he's not great. We saw what Harbaugh did for Michigan. We're seeing what happens in Ohio State. This guy's someone in the hot seat. Don't you agree? I mean, he's big. He's a big-time favorite to make it to the Final Four. And I think the jury's out on him. He's choked in a lot of big games. I think 5-star. I don't even know what the hell a 5-star coach is.
That's
but
exactly what I was just going to say. What's 5-star coaching, T-Dog?
Right.
T-Dog, you got to come on.
You got to get the players, man. You got to get the players.
What's 5-star coaching? I mean, is 5-star coaching being one of the best head coach recruiters in the country? Well, then Mario's a 5-star coach.
Yes, he is.
Nobody's ready to proclaim him a 5-star coach on game day. Hopefully he starts changing that a little bit this year.
Yeah.
So I don't know quite how you define 5-star coach.
But you look at this, the 2-year history he's been here. What are they, 12 and 13? Look at the recruiting classes he's had. He hasn't been a winner. Can you imagine if he goes 10-2 this year? He'll get mostly everybody he wants. Then you don't have to go to the portal as much, which is what Matt was saying about the portal. But I still think they had to do this. They need to win 10 at least this year, and that'll make it a lot easier going forward, getting kids that they were on the cusp of getting, and some of these guys that they really wanted badly, like Smith last year. Who knows what would happen if Miami was in the playoffs? These guys might come. So I think it was a necessary evil, but I don't want to see it every year. And I think you might agree, Gary.
Yeah. All right. So Joel Hogan wants to know, why do people keep saying that the schedule's easy? People say that every year. Miami doesn't deliver. There's no doubt about it.
Right.
We say the schedule's easy, and it probably is. But Virginia Tech is a sleeper team potentially in the ACC this year. They got a lot of talent coming back. South Florida. I always start out looking at the road games. South Florida.
They almost beat Alabama last year.
Yes, they almost beat Alabama last year at home. They have a lot of talent coming back. That game might not be a walk in the park. We'll see in a few weeks. I don't think FSU is just going to lay down because they lost to Georgia Tech. I think Louisville is a team with the coaching. You're talking about 5-star coaching. That guy's a 5-star offensive coordinator. I'll tell you that. And they got some players at Louisville. You got to go on the road and play that game. That's going to be a tough out.
And Cal's in California.
Cal, you got to travel all the way to California. This is not listen, you're not playing, Clemson. You're not playing.
We don't play North Carolina.
Not playing what could be a pretty good North Carolina team. Is anybody in the ACC playing everybody? No, you got too many teams now. I get the point, and I agree that Miami has underachieved too many times and not delivered. Hopefully, this is the year they do. Luke's Gaming wants to know who has more TDs on Saturday, Ward or Martinez. He's making those prop bets, Bruce. Luke's Gaming, that gives it away. He's wanting to know who to make the prop bet on, Ward or Martinez. I'll say Martinez. How about that? What do you think?
Well, you're talking about Ward throwing touchdown passes versus Martinez running.
Ward could run it for a touchdown too. I think Martinez. Well, you're right. It's not fair.
I'm going to say Ward. There's too many opportunities.
Too many ways to
too many ways.
I do think Martinez is going to get a lot of touchdowns this year.
Yeah, I think so too.
I really do, and
I'm looking forward to
Rap Lopez is thinking like me. He hopes the running backs have a lot of touchdowns this year, obviously, and
I hope the tight ends catch more than 18 balls, which is what they caught last year. That was pretty pathetic. I think that's definitely going to happen too.
This O-line is going to make Cam Ward look like Pat Mahomes. They could.
Good.
Matt's not with us anymore, but Truth's got a lot of questions tonight. But do the Canes need to explode offensively with a high passing attack, high scoring to win, or do we control the game with the run game, beat them down, wear them out, control control the clock to win. I still think that the latter for this game makes a lot of sense. You built one of the best offensive lines, you think, in college football. You've got Don Solinger told me a week or so ago that he thinks this running back room is as good as the running back rooms when he was coaching guys like Portis.
He loves Lyle. I talked to him. He loves Lyle. He raves about Lyle. He thinks he's spectacular, and I heard that's what he was. So yeah, listen. Gary, you can't. If they're 8 in a box, you can't keep running the ball. You got to take advantage of those mismatches, and that's what I think they're going to do. They're probably looking to get Florida's backs creeping up, and then they'll go over the top. They might not start out like that, but we'll know a lot more. 2nd and 9, 3rd and 7. I don't want to see that. Not on offense. I don't.
JB says rumor is Mario doesn't really have a time management coach. It's just something he said as a joke. Okay, it's not a joke. Okay, now I don't. He clearly doesn't want a whole lot known about who it is and stuff, and we'll honor that. But it's not a joke. And they have spent an enormous amount of time building protocols for time management. And we take it for granted. We think it's pretty simple. I think it was Jake that was talking about, hey, 40 times 3 is 120. You figure things out that way. And that's all true. You got to factor in timeouts on both sides. And a lot of different, things. What kind of plays is the other team going to run? What type of hurry up offenses are, potentially on the field? So there's a lot that goes into it. And they did have somebody spend a lot of time talking to a lot of different coaches and getting a lot of input on this subject. Is there a time management coach? I don't know that there's a title to go with it. I have not heard that, but there certainly has been a lot of time put into it. And it's not a joke.
They're leaving no stones unturned, Gary. They realize. I know they looked in the mirror and they realized what happened last year can't happen again. And I know that for a fact, and so do you.
So Kane for life. He says, hopefully this show doesn't turn into the Jerry Springer show.
What does he mean by that?
I hope it hasn't. I don't think it has. I think we've had a pretty good show tonight, and I thank everybody that's been part of it. I was a little nervous.
Are you taking a paternity test tonight that we know of? No.
But I was nervous. I was nervous coming into this thing because, we're incorporating all this technology. We're bringing people in on webcams. How's that going to go?
Well, it's good.
But I've been very happy with how this has gone. It's really been well. Christopher Wright, our buddy, he says the Cam is a fumble machine. Unfortunately, we can win if he controls this. Here's the thing. At Washington State, he was playing from behind a lot. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I think that actually it was hurting his game because he was having to take a lot of chances and do a lot of things that hopefully he will not have to do here. If they can get this thing, going in the direction that they want to. And, I don't think the fumbling has been a problem since he's been here. I think he's been pretty good with that. And hopefully that will be the way that it goes when the season begins.
I didn't like some of the things in the spring game. He just flicked the ball a few times. That's a little frightening, but he better not do that. He can't take those chances like that. But he sees the field and he knows what he's doing. And I think he's going to be a big difference for this team. Big difference over what we had. I'm not putting TVD down. He had some great games, but there were things he left on the field, and especially being able to scan the field and see what's going on instead of locking in on somebody. And if that guy's not open and he's going to get sacked, he looked bad in a lot of situations. So we have a big difference in quarterback now.
YouTuber says the Miami D-line will be in the Florida backfield all day, and Graham Mertz will be personally mowing the field with his teeth. The only thing I'm going to say about that is, and yes, the Miami pass rush should be great this year, but they typically get rid of the ball pretty quick.
Yes.
I mean, it's a quick, at least last year, it was a quick passing game.
Quick out, slants, screens. Yeah, they're not going to sit there and drop back 8 to 10 yards and sit in the pocket. And he's not going to do it. Now, if they get their running game going, maybe they can go deep. And this is a good point. Etienne and Pearsall made him look good. He's gone. Both of those guys are gone. And their starting running back is out.
Yeah. Now, they lost their last 5 games. Okay, so
What a
they
shame.
went into the offseason thinking we got to do some things differently. So, I'm talking about what they did last year. They relied on the running game and the short passing game. They want to get the ball down the field more this year. They went out and got Elijah Badger from Arizona State, who put up some pretty good numbers.
But you need time to throw deep. You need time.
Let me see here. I know I got his numbers here somewhere. He had Badger had 65 receptions for 723 yards last year at Arizona State. So this is a guy that can make plays. And they've had a big initiative in Gainesville to try to get some more explosiveness into their offense. And Miami's weakness supposedly is the secondary. So,
and wouldn't you test our secondary, Gary?
100%. I'm expecting them to test the secondary in a big time way on Saturday, and we're going to see how they hold up. It's a logical thing for them to do. I'm just skimming here real quickly here. Team G1's talking about the quiet confidence coming out of the building. They feel good about their team. And you're right, Team G, like they can't beat themselves. And that's why I'm not so sure that they're going to be freewheeling it out of the gate. I mean, I think they did that it's logical to test the running game early and see, like you feel like you've got this great offensive line and these great running backs. I would test that Florida run defense. I don't know that it's so great. And I think we're going to find out. Yeah. I mean, YouTube again, pointing out Gators are weak in the trenches. They lack power. That's the way I see it too. So I'm not so sure that this is going to be the Cam Ward show in the first quarter. I mean, obviously they're going to have to give Cam Ward an opportunity to do what he came here for. You're not going to put the passing game on the shelf for 4 quarters. No way. But I don't think you want to let this game get away early. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they do start out.
Yeah, but I hear you, Gary. But if they're stacking the box as soon as we get out of the first huddle, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. You just got to play. You got to take advantage of situations, and if that's what Florida does, they're going to take away our run game. Then you just can't sit there and just be like Mario, stubborn about it. You got to create something different. They have the ability. They have. It's not like he can't throw the ball. This kid.
904 is joking about Brent Key, the Georgia Tech coach, who said, just run the ball after they beat Florida State the other day. Brent Key and Mario were on the same staff at Alabama.
Right. He's a good coach, that guy.
And I'm not sure how well that went. You're asking 2 guys to coach the offensive line. Again, I don't know, but
we play them up there this year. We got to go to Atlanta and play them. That's not going to be an easy game. Those guys are good, and we have to have some revenge on our mind. As an
904 Hurricane is making an interesting point, Bruce. He's questioning the accuracy of Graham Mertz throwing the ball down the field. They want to throw the ball down the field, but you're right. I mean, 904 Graham Mertz has to prove that he's capable of doing it. We'll I'm sure we'll find out on Saturday. Let's see here real quick.
He's an accurate passer, but again, how much time is he really going to have?
Let's see. Truth over falsehood. Man, the man of 100 questions tonight. Will we see Mario have some punishment for players that do stupid things during games or don't execute play at a high level or play with no effort? Absolutely. They have more depth now. Okay. So there's going to be no excuses for anybody. Jacoby George might not want to get that 15-yard penalty this year that he was getting last year because they've got guys that they can put out there to replace them. So
that are very, very good, but not as experienced. But I don't think he'll ever do that again. I know that Mario got in his face multiple times during the offseason, and he did have something on his hand. He hurt his hand, but he's fine. They're ready to go. I think they're all healthy with maybe one exception, which I'm not going to talk about.
Callie Kane is remembering a couple seasons ago when Mario Cristobal took his Oregon team on the road to Ohio State. Much tougher spot than Florida on Saturday.
That was a hell of a game.
And they kicked the living crap out of them, and they did it with the run game. I mean, they did it with the offensive line and with the run game, and they beat the living daylights out of Ohio State that day. And people don't do that. Like, that's not a common occurrence that people can walk into Columbus and physically lay a beat down on the home team. But Mario's Oregon team was able to do that. So,
but we have the physicality to do that against Florida. That's for sure.
Yeah. All right. I think we've pretty much worked through these, Bruce. So, closing thoughts as the Canes get ready to go to Gainesville.
Well, I know we've talked about it and doing shows for the last 7-8 months. I'm thrilled with what he's done in the offseason with the recruiting. I'm thrilled with the portal. I'm thrilled with the roster, how it's filled out. I think this team is loaded. I think the problem with me, you, Matt, and many of the Canes fans is that we've lived through 20 years of the same thing. We have not done what we should be able to do. And I'm just hoping, because I don't know what's going to happen on Saturday. I just hope we win. Just win the game is all that matters at this point. Blowouts would be great. But you know what? Just win the damn game. Be healthy and get ready for next week's game, which we should win anyway. But I'm excited about it. It's the first time in a long time. I think it's a different excitement than we went to Texas to play LSU, because that was still an unknown. We have improved in a damn thing, being 12-13, but I'm excited about it. And that's all I can be. I'd rather be like I am now, where the team seems loaded, or rather than like Florida State. They're great. They're a top this, they're a top 10, and get embarrassed on national TV because they're not that good. I hope people are right about our team, and that's what I hope that we get to the point where we can go out there and just take care of business and come home.
We'll close here with Jason, because I truly feel that this is one of the keys to the season. And I said it earlier. I said earlier in the show, they've got pieces. They've got pieces on offense. They have pieces on defense. There's going to be a lot of versatility to this football team. Mm-hmm. You could throw the ball to backs coming out of the backfield. You could throw the ball to tight end. You got receivers like Restrepo, Jacoby George, Sam Brown.
Gary, our short yardage offense should be much better.
Yeah, I'll tell you something else. Isaiah Horton is a guy that to me might be the most improved guy on this football team.
Yeah, and that's true, because that's what Beard told me. This guy is not there yet, but he's really improved himself.
Yeah. So to me, the key is the coordinators on both sides of the ball.
I agree.
They have got to get it done for everybody this year. And this is their moment. This is the biggest stage and the biggest moment that both those guys have had. I'm talking about Shannon Dawson and Lance Guidry, two awesome dudes. Okay. Louise, if you got to know him, you would say the same thing. These are two awesome dudes. But they have to deliver as football coaches this year. That the whole fate of this team, I think, is riding on it. They will be empowered by the head coach. There's not all kinds of meddling going on that people like to say.
Right.
And,
to say that.
And they gotta take all these pieces that they have available to them and make them work. So, Jason, you're onto something. We'll have a much better idea.
Somebody asked the question, what happens if we lose? They wanted us to answer that. If we lose, all hell breaks loose. Anybody that says Mario's going to lose his job is an idiot, because that's not going to happen, but it certainly puts a damper on a lot of things that we've talked about for the last 7 or 8 months.
Yeah, we're not going to even talk about losing now.
No,
anyway,
we're not going to lose that game.
I want to thank everybody that participated in tonight's show. I think it went great. Like I said, I was a little nervous about this new technology that we were rolling out in terms of the fans coming on webcams and stuff. I thought it went great. Greg, I hope you're listening. We got to get your stuff working because we missed you tonight. Hopefully we'll get you working by next week.
Thanks to Maurice Crum.
Yeah, I was just getting ready to say that. I want to thank Maurice Crum for coming on tonight's show. I want to thank KaneWear. Okay, we got to thank KaneWear for sponsoring tonight's show. And remember, they've got a party coming up I'll throw the information back up again. Party coming up Friday night in Gainesville for those of you that are making the trip to the game. 6 o'clock at night to 2 in the morning. Okay, you better bring your party shoes. That's a long ass party, man.
That's a long party.
And if you need your merchandise for the start of the season, make sure that you get on over to KaneWear or go to KaneSport.com and get your gear. They've got it all the Adidas stuff, the KaneWear jersey that I know everybody wants to have in the anticipation that he really will be the ACC Player of the Year this year. So make sure you check out KaneWear, KaneSport.com to do that. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, we'll have the Lamar Thomas Show. Same time, same bat channel here on all of our CaneSport channels. For Matt Shodell, Bruce Warner, I'm Gary Furman. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, everybody. Huge audience online on YouTube and Twitter. We hope you guys had as good a time tonight as we did. Hopefully,
Let's go,
we'll see you
Canes.
again. See you next Tuesday night. Have a great night, everybody.
Let's go, Canes, baby.